What's up, podcast peeps? We're back for another live NFL draft show. It seems like Ryan Thomas is with me and Dan, and he was just talking off camera. As it seems like we were just doing this. Well, we probably were just a few months ago, it seems like, but it's that time again. It's that night. It is NFL draft night. A lot going on tonight. We still don't know really what's going on. We assume it's going to be a quarterback taken by Cleveland. Which one, we're really not sure. We're really surprised by what we're hearing it might be, but it is draft night. I am Brandon Reed. I'm along with my co-host for My Fantasy Podcast, Dan the Man Schalk, and of course, Ryan Thomas of the Thomas Take Podcast. We're going to be joined by others throughout the night, off and on. So sit back and relax and enjoy this one, My Fantasy Podcast Special Edition NFL Draft Night show. So what do we think, Dan? What's the biggest surprises to you? What are you most looking forward to here in just a few minutes?
Well, I've been looking forward to the show all day. We are live on YouTube. I am live on Facebook. So there's multiple ways to join us tonight. Interact with us as the picks go down, obviously. Predict the pick, something that we did last year that we're going to carry it over this year. But I think when it comes to the draft tonight, it all depends on that number one pick, what Cleveland is going to do. Are they going to what I think would be the stupid thing, and that would be draft Baker Mayfield first overall. He's a guy I don't even have a first-round grade on, so I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland did that. I mean, Cleveland is known to do some things, so it all depends on that first pick, and then the dominoes are going to fall.
That's an interesting way to put it. Cleveland is known to do some things. But the list of who they've missed and whiffed on as far as quarterbacks in the NFL so far has been just astonishing. I was listening to, I think it was Stephen A. Smith break it down the other day, of who they passed on and who else they could have got with that going back 15, 20 years. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was one of them. They always find a way to screw this up, Ryan.
It's one of those situations where we went through mock drafts and we meticulously prepared throughout this entire time. There wasn't one scenario where I thought, one situation where I thought, oh, maybe the Browns will take Mayfield. I thought Darnold was the lock at one, or maybe even Rosen would be the lock at one if they were going to go a quarterback, to the quarterback position. But the fact that Mayfield is in the discussion as the first overall pick, I'm shocked. I really am. It took me by surprise, to say the least.
So Dan came out the other day, maybe it was today or yesterday, and said all of this Baker Mayfield hype is smokescreen. Do not believe anything you hear in the last 48 hours leading up to the draft. We're getting closer, and from all accounts, it appears that they're going to take Baker Mayfield, Dan. So do you think that's what's going to go on, or are we still seeing a smokescreen and don't believe that for a minute? It's going to be Darnold or Rosen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still personally not buying it. I know there's some big-time experts and draft guys that came out and said that is going to be the pick. So it'll be interesting a little bit. I'm still going Darnold. I mocked him there. I think he's not even number one on my board, but I think he just makes the most sense to Cleveland at this point. So until something changes, obviously in a couple minutes, I'm still going Darnold, but Mayfield is I'm hearing what you're hearing, so nothing new there. We'll see if it goes down though. I know Ryan will be shocked.
Well, Ryan should be happy because I think that slides some other guys maybe possibly back towards his Buffalo Bills at 12 if they stay at 12. I'd be pretty happy with that if Baker Mayfield's going number one. Me personally, because I don't see him as the top quarterback in this draft class. That's the way it's shaking out. I think he has some moxie, he has some swagger, but as far as NFL mechanics, I'm kind of with Dan. I just don't see him as the overall number one. So you'd be pretty happy with that, Ryan, right? If some of those other guys slid back to you?
Yeah, I mean that was my first thought. Well, was if Mayfield goes first overall, that could leave an opening for Dalton or for Rosen to fall to Buffalo, which would be great. But regardless, I think Buffalo has to move up in the draft in order to get one of those guys. So that's the question. There's rumors now circulating that Denver is going to trade up with the Giants to maybe get a quarterback. Ian Rappaport reported that. So we'll see. But this is going to be a crazy draft. I know that.
So here's just some of the highlights that I was looking forward to for the draft tonight, guys. Number one, of course, we all want to know what Cleveland is going to do, not only at number 1, but at number 4. And my scenario was take 2 quarterbacks. And I'm telling you, I'm talking myself more into that. I know a GM is not going to do that, but why not? They have whiffed so many times. Just make sure you don't whiff this year. Take 2 quarterbacks and get it over with. But what is Cleveland going to do? What's the Giants going to do at number 2 if they stay at number 2? What's Buffalo, Ryan Thomas's Buffalo Bills going to do? Are they going to move up? Are they going to stand at 12 and get a quarterback best available at that spot? How are the quarterbacks going to file in rank? We were just talking about Baker Mayfield. If he goes number 1, I'll be a little bit surprised. So how is that ranking going to, fall out throughout the first round? What does New England do? They have a rarity this year. They have 2 first-round picks for New England. So what are they going to do? They're going to move up. They're going to move back. And what will they do with their 2 picks if they keep them? And of course, the trade madness that might possibly go down here tonight. You never know. It happened pretty quickly last year. And then lastly, my guy, Dan, Anthony Miller. And as you can see, I'm completely just blued out, just swagged out Memphis tonight for the podcast. Even got a blue mic filter, got my Tiger shirt on, got my Memphis tapestry over the couch. So I'm hoping for a big night for a Memphis Tiger here tonight.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to hear Memphis Tiger hear his name called tonight. Anthony Miller, I put up my final rankings today. I don't know if you caught this, Brandon, but Anthony Miller made the top of the list in wide receiver. I ended up tying him with Calvin Ridley as my number 1 receiver in this draft. So I think he's worth it. I have a first-round grade on him, but I don't see him going tonight. There's some other receivers that are getting a lot of hype, like DJ Moore out of Maryland, who I think I came out with another piece today with some bold predictions. I think he's going to be the first receiver off the board tonight, although he's not even in my top 5. What do you think about that? No, pretty good.
No, I do like him. As far as Anthony Miller goes, but I think this may be, I'm not sure it's necessarily a case of talent though, because I think Anthony Miller's got to be one of the top 3 wide receivers. I mean, he's impressing GMs like crazy, but I think you got such a quarterback rich draft class. There's not going to be as room, or a wide receiver priority is not going to be as high in the first round here tonight. That's just my opinion, but don't you think? Because I think also one of your other bold predictions was we could see 10 quarterbacks taken out of the 32 picks here tonight.
What? That was not a bold prediction.
That's a lot. I mean, that.
Yeah.
What's the most?
I mean, that was not my bold prediction. I didn't say that.
But that's what you said in the piece, though.
10 quarterbacks?
Isn't that what you said?
No.
How many did you say? You made a comment like that.
5, I think. 5.
Okay.
5 quarterbacks.
Okay. Yeah. Well, 6.
10 would be insane.
A lot of people are saying 6 though. At least.
Yeah,
6.
I have Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph is that 6th guy. So yeah, I mean, I do think we're going to see 5 going tonight. Darnold, Mayfield, Rosen, Lamar Jackson. My favorite, Josh Allen. It would make it 5. But I think Mason Rudolph, who's that 6th guy, I think he's going to be a 2nd round pick.
6 would be a record, though, right?
Oh, I'm sure. Well, yeah. I know in 1984 had a lot.
A lot of good ones, but I don't know, man. 6 is a lot. Was the league wasn't even at 32 in 84? It was it at 30?
No. Yeah, 28 or 30. But yeah, I mean, I think that kind of shows what the type of NFL this is. It's quarterback driven. You need a franchise quarterback to survive and to make the playoffs to win a Super Bowl. So you're going to see NFL teams overdraft and reach for quarterbacks if they have the slightest hope that could be their guy.
So your Cowboys have the 19th pick. What are you thinking, man? Are you confident any way or another, or is there something that you would like to see more than something else?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I want to see them go defense. Obviously, the loss of Dez Bryant, my cat, now known as the cat formerly known as Dez. I want to see him go defense, but I think we're gonna see a wide receiver. I just hope it's not DJ Moore. Or some of those. Christian Kirk is another guy. I'm high on him, but I don't want him to be a first-round pick. I don't think he's first-round material. So that's not anything that I would like. I would like defensive line, Vita Vea, Deron Payne, if they're available, but I don't think they will be. Cornerback, I would take Isaiah Oliver, Josh Jackson, Jair Alexander, somebody like that. But I think it's going to be a receiver.
We'll also throughout the night be joined by one of our newest writers, R.H. Adams. We'll have to ask him what he goes by because he followed me on Twitter at Bo Adams. So I don't know if he's R.H. or he goes by Bo, or if R.H. stands for like Ronald Herbert and what we should call him. But one of our newest writers to the site, R.H. Adams. And something tells me, Dan, that we'll have comedy relief with Mr. Adams.
Yeah, I think RH and I have become best friends over the last few days.
Yeah, you're both really just jaded when it comes to basketball, really delusional when it comes to your basketball.
That's debatable. But, yeah, I mean, RH, Bo, whatever he wants to go by, I think he's gonna be a great guest to have on tonight. And even though, we're best friends already, but he's a Redskins fan. And as a Cowboys fan, that's somewhat surprising.
Well, the divide will be coming then. What you're doing now is you're mutually coming together in your hatred of Russell Westbrook. And that's easy to do. He has a lot of haters, and you two have just kind of like joined forces like, two perfect stars colliding through the universe, and you've met, and it's magic, and the sky explodes. But come football season, you guys are gonna go your separate ways. I got a feeling. But to be honest with you, and Ryan may get a kick out of this, but you guys might be actually battling for last and second to last place in that NFC East.
No, we won't be. So I'm just going to brush that off like you never even mentioned it. The Browns are on the clock. They have 4.5 minutes till the pick, so that's good. And we actually do you remember the name Gilly Stevens, Brandon?
Of course. How could I forget Gilly Stevens? He pops up on my Facebook timeline every week.
Watching us. Oh, we have a Bo Adams sighting on Facebook Live as well. So maybe it's Bo, RH. We'll find out later. But Gilly says Sam Darnold, number 1 overall. So
Gilly should probably be right. I'm a little bit weighted towards Darnold over Rosen just because I saw what Rosen did against a horrible defense in Memphis in the Liberty Bowl this year. Not in the Liberty Bowl, but at Liberty Bowl Stadium. And that kind of skewed it for me. He didn't look really sharp. I know that's just one game, but Memphis was a horrible defense, man. They just weren't a good defense. And but Darnold kind of had a backseat year too, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he definitely didn't live up to expectations. He kind of burst onto the scene at USC in 2016, wasn't even the starter to open the season, and he just came in and just won. So he had very high expectations coming into this last season, and USC in general just kind of had a down year. But I mean, the tape is evident of why he is going to be a top pick. One of my weaknesses for him that you can find in the draft profile that I put out for him is just his release. It's a very long wind-up type of release, and that kind of scared me away a little bit. He's my number 2 quarterback in the draft, so I'm still pretty high on him. A lot of people comp him to Tony Romo. I don't like that comp just because I hold Tony Romo in such high esteem and regard. I know, Brandon, you think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I agree with you, but I have Sam Darnold's comp is Phillip Rivers, so still a pretty good player in his own right. Actually, we've battled on Tony Romo and Phillip Rivers on this podcast before, but I think that's kind of his ceiling. That's a pretty good one. Phillip Rivers, future Hall of Famer potentially as well.
So while we have just a couple of minutes here before Cleveland's pick at number 1, I just want to give a shout out to Dan the Man Schalk. All the draft profiles are up on the site right now. When I say everyone, I mean everyone. There's nobody that's going to be called in the first 3 days that's not on the site right now, unless someone completely shocks us and takes a punter or something like that. You didn't scout any punters, did you, Dan?
I did. Michael Dixon.
You did.
Michael Dixon, Texas, early entrant into the draft. You don't see many punters leave early to go to school, but Michael Dixon did, and he's pretty damn good. Actually, a scout who I quoted in his draft profile said he could be the best punter in the NFL next year as a rookie. So I think that says something. And in my crazy predictions, which I don't think you read very, very well, Brandon.
I skimmed through it. You got a lot of stuff going on, Dan. Forgive me.
Yeah, that's true. But in it, I actually have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers thinking about taking Michael Dixon in the first round. You get that inference.
Didn't they learn from the last kicker they traded up to take?
Aguayo, second round pick.
Yeah, that did not work out at all.
The pick is in, Brandon. The pick is in.
Here we go.
It's going to take a while, though. I think you know how that takes.
I'm going to let the commissioner walk to the stage.
Goodell takes his sweet time getting to the stage.
No, look, he's got to give a little handshake to everybody here. All right, here we go. Let's listen to the commissioner.
First pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Baker Mayfield.
Well,
there you go.
Yeah. We talked about it to open the show. It's a very Cleveland decision. I hate this pick. I hate it a lot. But that's Cleveland. This is not a franchise quarterback in my proclamation. Brandon, I know you know this because I had said it multiple times, but I actually talked to a scout in the season that said Baker Mayfield's offense at Oklahoma was 12 plays. It's
that's not good.
12 plays long. So I think he's kind of a scheme quarterback, and he's not going to translate very well to the pros.
I think Cleveland just Clevelanded up again. They just Clevelanded up again. We'll hope for the best. But I think folks are falling in love maybe with this kid's swagger a little bit more than straight up skill set, because a 12-play playbook is not deep. And so, I mean, it's hard enough to handle an NFL playbook as it is, Ryan, but 12 plays, I think Cleveland just Cleveland this up again.
I can't even. I'm speechless. I don't even have, out of all the quarterbacks, that they were in this perfect position to take a bona fide stud, no matter whether it was Rosen or Darnold out of the two, or even in a sense Allen. They take Mayfield first overall, assuming that he's going to be ready week one. Is he going to play right away? Is Tyrod going to play? It's just,
hey, there's George. There's the champ.
The champ, that's Gus.
Oh, sorry, Gus. Gus is the younger one?
Gus is the younger one.
Damn, he's big.
He's huge. Yeah. So, yeah, I think this is a Cleveland move, and I hate to say it for their fans because I'm a part of a lot of Browns Facebook groups and stuff like that, and they really thought that they were getting Darnold, and they're not.
Well, I hope they're happy. But it wasn't just them. Your Buffalo Bills fan base fell in love with Baker Mayfield too, as we saw from your poll.
That's true. And we kind of dived into the Mayfield mania, and it seems like the Mayfield mania definitely got to Cleveland, I guess.
So, Dan, forgive me if you stated it already, but who did you comp Baker Mayfield to?
A more athletic Case Keenum. What do you think about that?
Well, he's the starter for the Denver Broncos now. So
yeah, I mean, I think Baker Mayfield can develop in. I mean, it took Case Keenum a while. I mean, he didn't come into the pros right away and light it up. So it's going to take. I think it's going to take Baker a little bit as well. But I mean, Case Keenum is only so good. You know, I don't think he's going to be winning any Super Bowls, and I don't think Baker Mayfield will either. So. This is Cleveland.
I'm afraid it is Cleveland. So, I was trying to see if we're going to have a draft here. It looks like the Giants are probably going to keep this pick. Has there been any late talk of them trading out of this pick?
I mean, you've heard things, but I think with Barkley available, I mean, he's a once in a lifetime type of talent, so it's hard to pass. And the Giants, I don't think they have too many holes. So if they get back, they can do pretty well.
So we got an addition to the podcast, to the live draft show. Looks like we're about to introduce R.H. Adams, or Bo, to the show, guys. So what would you like us to call you, R.H.?
Well, now that you know me, you can call me Bo.
Okay, there you go. That's easy enough because I didn't know what RH stood for. I was telling
RH are my initials, and Bo is short. It was a college thing and drinking and just so.
Many stories come.
Mini story, yeah. It's there's too much going on to talk about that.
You probably got off a little bit lucky if the only thing you got was, just an alternative name like that, and not just a
way
nickname
before
that
video
ruined you.
phones and stuff. Yeah,
That's
we were
true.
lucky.
And that's a break we have to give some of these guys now, right? Because I think it was who was just was it Josh Allen who's has been receiving some a little bit of
Using the
controversy over high school
N-word,
tweets.
yeah.
And no, you never condone that. But here's the thing, guys. Jameis Winston has fell into this. A lot of guys have fallen into this. Phones are everywhere now. Let's listen to the commissioner.
With the second pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Saquon Barkley, running back, Penn State.
Which to me is the right pick, right, guys? Take the next best impact talent that you have, because we said it on the podcast in the last couple of weeks. I believe it was my opinion that they were just a move or a piece away from being right back in that playoff hunt. They were not far. Last year was just a blow it up year. You know how I feel about Ben McAdoo. I think that was just he was just the wrong fit for them, and just flip that offense upside down and then decimated by injuries. I think they're right back there in the thick of that NFC this year. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, you see what the Cowboys did as soon as they got Ezekiel Elliott a couple years ago. I mean, if you are committed to the running game, and you have a back that is capable like that, it can kind of change momentum of your entire franchise. So I think the Giants can be a playoff team just like that next year. I thought they were going to be a playoff team this past year. Things didn't work out, like you alluded to. Ben McAdoo was a little rough. But Barkley is a once-in-a-lifetime type of talent. I have him comped to LaDainian Tomlinson, so I think he's a similar type back. And you know the type of career that LaDainian had. So I'm expecting big things, and sadly, as a Cowboys fan, it's probably going to come against Dallas.
The only athlete that gets a bigger pass than Russell Westbrook is Manning. He has been awful. He's got 2 Super Bowls, so that nulls every conversation against him. But he's been awful, and I know his line's bad, and the receivers weren't catching the balls, or they were making proposals to kicking nets. But who's their backup quarterback? They gotta love him, because if Manning goes down, what's that?
But I completely erased the last 2 years under Ben McAdoo.
There you go.
I mean, I really do. And now he is getting older. We're definitely going to be seeing an older version of Eli Manning now. But with a guy like Saquon Barkley, some of the pressure may be taken off. And they've already addressed a couple of offensive line issues in the offseason with some signings, one namely like Nate Solder. So
I can't disagree with the move, because just last year we saw with Ezekiel Elliott what it did for the team. I mean, but the offensive line of the Giants is not even close.
No,
it
got a little bit better, but you're getting an.
I mean, they got
Nate
Solder, right? And
an aging Nate Solder.
He's still a little. He's getting a little long in the tooth, is he not? 10 years in the league,
right? But they're trying to address it, that's always what I love about teams, especially. That's what I loved about John Robinson when he came into Tennessee. He knew what to do to rebuild the team. He saw, obviously, the glaring aspects and did whatever it takes to at least try to address those areas. The former GM in Tennessee, Rustin Webster, had no idea what the hell he was doing. No idea how to build a team. So at least they're trying. Where are you at, Bo? It looks like you're at a Wingstop. You're making me hungry.
No, I'm at my office. I share this with my good buddy Vince and my other good buddy Jag. They're game developers. Well, they're in a hiatus right now of game developing. They're working with another company, but this is the office that I go to do all my my writing.
Nice. I like it. You're hanging out with some game developers, huh? Can we get some?
If you've ever played beer pong on PlayStation 4, this is where it was born.
Wow, nice. And so you're in Las Vegas, right?
I am.
Nice. So we're almost coast to coast now, Dan. We're start in New York and go all the way as far west as Las Vegas now.
Yeah, I hear Buffalo is a good place to be from.
I guess so.
Now, from
not a Bills fan.
What are you meaning, from or live?
No, from. It's just 8 months of snow and just I don't know. I'm not much into cold. I don't like being cold. That's why I live here.
Dan's probably got snow on the ground right now.
All right.
No, we got rid of it, but yeah, I hate cold too. But I'm still here. Questions that need to be answered, I guess.
Stubborn.
So we're not going to have DDT on the podcast tonight, right? Did he say he's going to try to
stop by, but unsure.
Okay, so he's our Jets guy. Jets are on the clock. They got just under 4 minutes, and
well, this has to be the USC quarterback, right? Darnold. It has to be. They took Baker Mayfield, which is the world's worst pick of all time, and Rosen? I can't see Rosen going to the Jets.
No, yeah. I mean, I think the Jets are going to make out here. If it's either Darnold or Allen, but I would lean Darnold as well. I think he's going to go before Allen, and for the Jets, I mean, I think this worked out perfectly for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I think it's we'll find out the pick, but it's definitely going to be a quarterback. You don't trade up in the first round 3 picks to not select a quarterback and give up 3 second round.
They're not going for the Notre Dame guard, are they?
No.
I do not believe so.
When you need a quarterback like the Jets do and have for a while. So one of those quarterbacks, though, I believe it was Rosen. It may have been Darnold, but I'm thinking it was Rosen. But there was talk of how one of those guys, and like I said, I think it was Rosen, may not do well in colder weather games. I mean, they analyze everything. They break down everything about these guys. And one of them, I think, maybe had a little bit smaller hands and didn't do well in inclement weather. So
I think that was Baker.
It could have been.
He's only 6 foot and he only had a 9-inch hand.
Well, the weather's not great in Cleveland, so watch out. So
Cleveland's cold too. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Bo. What do you think about my idea of Cleveland? Just draft 2 quarterbacks. Just draft 2 quarterbacks and get it over with.
My mom's voice is ringing in my head with too many chefs in the kitchen and all this other stuff. When you hand a team over to a franchise quarterback, you don't hand it over to 2 franchise quarterbacks. All right. One of them is going to win the thing. And what are you going to do? Trade the other one? Do you think anybody wants your second rated quarterback, your scraps? So now you're going to end up with 2 quarterbacks and a very unhappy team. So it's never a good idea.
They screw it up time and time again. I think this is a kind of a foolproof way, so to speak.
It's the fear of losing. They did exactly what I said. I said they would do.
The New York Jets select Sam Darnold.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good pick.
Not really surprising. Did the Jets go into tonight really thinking they had a shot at Darnold, Dan?
Well, with all the reports coming out, today that Baker was going to be going first, yeah, maybe they had an inkling, but I don't know. I think this was their best case scenario. They went into the draft with the best case scenario, and the Jets just got it, moving up from 6 to 3 to be able to get this is pretty. It's a solid get for the.
So do they take number 4? Do they take the defensive Chubb? Do the Cleveland take Chubb to put across from Myles Garrett? Not across, but next to.
That would make it dangerous. That's a dangerous defensive pairing. We've seen defensive lines, help get teams to the Super Bowl. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Denver did it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, even Philly this last year, they may not have the best names, but their defense definitely contributed to that. So.
And they did it with a rotating door type of defense, but they were, everybody was good enough to keep up the pressure on the quarterback, so that worked well for them.
And Dan was spot on here as far as how this quarterback fell. He had him as his number 2 quarterback and is comping him to Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, Darnold, I mean, one of my biggest weakness, like I mentioned, was his windup, his kind of long release. His decision-making, but I think that can always improve in time with solid coaching. But, I mean, he's got an arm. He's got a playmaking ability, and he has what stood out the most on his tape was his anticipation. The ball was out before his receiver was making the cut. And you don't see that a lot in this draft class. Not many quarterbacks were able to do it. So Darnold is probably one of the more polished at this time, and as long as he can, get his decision making and not have as many turnovers as he did, not only fumbles but interceptions, the Jets might have their guy, for the next decade.
He was on a show just recently. I think it was First Thing First, and they had a tape of him. It was a 3rd and 3, and he drops back, and the running back goes out to the flat wide open. He looks across at the tight end who had 2 men on him, and then he throws it deep for a guy that had like a 2-foot window when he could have just taken the easy route, dropped it off, and got the first down and moved on. But he was playing hero ball. So you're right. Coaching can solve that.
Some of their off-season moves is, of course, don't forget, Matt Forte retired. They signed quarterback Trumaine Johnson, Isaiah Crowell. They signed Josh McCown and Teddy Bridgewater. So that's the other thing. So how do you think this is going to shake out? Is Darnold starter day one, Dan, or why would Teddy Bridgewater go?
Well, I think that was kind of a little risk signing for the Jets. He didn't sign a pretty high price deal, so a little risk with that move. And if he can regain his form, which he might not be able to, not too much sweat off the Jets' back. McCown's is just kind of that insurance option. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Darnold starts week 1. But here's the thing: they don't need him to start week 1. They do have other options. Heck, they still have Bryce Petty and Christian Hackenberg on the roster.
Somebody's got to go.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those last 2, they're clinging to their roster spots as it is. So
aren't they still on their rookie contracts too? Though they could probably afford to keep 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're still cheap, but they're bad as well. So that.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Cut bait with one of them, or one of them's being practice squatted. But whoever plays quarterback is going to have a couple of new weapons. They got Andre Roberts, and they also signed Terrell Pryor. So the Jets have made moves this offseason.
Pryor was a good receiver for the Redskins, but he showed glimpses of greatness. But then he would disappear for a quarter. He would go I don't know if he was back in the locker room playing PlayStation 4 or what, but he would just go away. And I don't know if it was a mental thing or if the coaches schemed him out of it. But he's got all the tools. He's big. He's fast. He's got good hands.
It may still be being a learning curve maybe for him of playing wide receiver in NFL.
It could be. He could have been in package, or they kept him out of packages where he had to read defenses and know which what flat to go to or how many yards, whatever. Yeah,
right. Absolutely. He could have been disappearing because he was only used in certain situations. So I don't know.
Run forward, catch ball.
Yeah, that's kind of what Baker Mayfield's playbook right there. Read defense, throw ball quickly.
Everybody's talking about how Oklahoma was such a great team and he won the Heisman Trophy. Well, guess what? Oklahoma's not drafting. It's the Cleveland Browns.
Well, Oklahoma got waxed in their last game, didn't they not?
I thought they came back in the second half pretty good.
I don't remember.
Against Georgia?
I don't remember the final score.
Yeah. You were busy rewatching the Liberty Bowl, Brandon.
I was watching Russell Westbrook ball out is what I was doing, the reigning MVP. But the Browns are on the clock here. So this is going to be interesting.
The smart pick would be Chubb, so that's why I absolutely don't think they're doing it.
Chubb, or I can see even Minkah Fitzpatrick here if they want to do something.
Sorry.
So right real quick before we get into the next Browns pick. Oh, the pick is in. Hang on. But I had a comment from DDT about his Jets pick as Sal Powell there is talking, but the Browns pick is in. I'm trying to find the comment from Dylan Davis Strado here. Okay, so my thoughts on the Jets picking Sam Darnold. I wanted to get Josh Allen, but feel his off-the-field issue made Sam the better choice. Hopefully, no shades of Mark Sanchez. Should be someone to build around. So there's your Jets fan and how he feels. He was looking for Josh Allen.
Okay. So you think Minkah Fitzpatrick is a better defensive choice than Chubb for the Browns?
No, I mean, I like Chubb better. I think scheme-wise and just pairing him with Myles Garrett and just some of the other defensive tackles that they have, I think it would make Cleveland dangerous. I mean, you still have Mayfield at quarterback, so it can only get so good. But at least one of their picks can be good if they draft Chubb. But I wouldn't say if they went Fitzpatrick, that would be a terrible pick either.
No, I don't think so either. But it would, like you were saying, it pairs up well with Myles Garrett. Yeah, even if they did a tandem thing, you know, they'd still on one of the two edges. You got somebody racing at you at 100 miles per hour. So I think that would be a good pick. Oh, here we go.
Here it is.
With the fourth pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Denzel Ward, defensive back, Ohio State.
Ohio State puts out the defensive backs in the NFL. That kind of threw us for a loop there. Good pick though, Dan. Right, if you're looking to go cornerback, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like Denzel Ward. He's okay. I have him as my third-ranked cornerback in the draft. So I mean, I have two straight cornerbacks ahead of him, and then obviously I also have Minkah Fitzpatrick and Derwin James ranked ahead of him. But those guys are probably going to be safeties in the NFL. So I mean, I don't hate Denzel Ward. My comp to him, I have it here. Let me just is Ronald Darby. So it's not, you know, not a terrible football player, but you know,
but you also had him as your third cornerback ranked.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I think there were better guys out there. Fourth overall, I think that's another stretch by Cleveland.
I don't like prognosticators that much, but I think he was closer to the end of the draft than the beginning of the draft by most people.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, he was a lot of people's number one cornerback. So it's not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I think.
All right.
I mean, Brandon and I both had him mocked at 11, I think, to Miami. So you know, a top 15 guy, I can definitely see him, but fourth, yeah, no, definitely not.
Well, at least we don't have to deal with the Browns anymore for a minute.
I still say they should have taken two quarterbacks. Just get it over.
You know what? I'm totally agree with you now. After that, they were silly. They should have just took Josh Allen. They should have. I'm joking.
I'm not. I'm dead serious.
I know.
I'm so sick because we're going to talk about this probably again next year when Baker Mayfield flops.
Is that
I hope he doesn't, but
oh yeah, okay. Well, you know what? Hindsight's 50-50, so we'll never know. I mean, it's a 50-50 chance on everybody. Even the A1 All-American 4.340 stud can end up flipping burgers at Burger King after a year.
So the Browns also they acquired Jarvis Landry this year.
Slot or outside slot.
Re-signed Josh Gordon. We'll see how much, if he can actually fully play this year.
I hope he can. I'm rooting for him.
He's running out of time. He needs to get it together.
It's been almost 10 years. Well, not that long. I take that back. I'm sorry, but it's been a while.
And they also have a new offensive coordinator, Todd Haley. So a lot to bring. I mean, I see why there's a lot of reason to be optimistic if you're Cleveland Browns fans, but I mean, don't we always kind of feel like this a little bit until week 3 or 4?
Yeah. When I was talking to my Browns fans, my buddies, they one of the things that they were excited about was having all the picks. So they're not done. They've got 10, 11 picks. They're not going to be done for a while, but if they keep this trend up, they're going to take a kicker in the second. And I don't know what's after that. I just
So they also, just to kind of throw another wrinkle into their situation, is they do have Ryan Thomas's favorite quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, and you still have Deshaun Kaiser, I guess. So, but who is going to start immediately? Are they handing the keys over to Baker Mayfield immediately after just acquiring Tyrod Taylor, who is a Pro Bowl quarterback and a playoff-proven quarterback?
Oh my Lord! Did those two words playoff proven? Did you watch the game?
Just hey, he got them there. He got them there. Okay, we all know they didn't win.
I would like to think that the right foot of Stephen Hauschka and the wheels of LaShawn McCoy got the Bills to the playoffs.
He had a little something to do with it.
But no, I agree to an extent. I mean, I was listening to you guys say where you guys had Denzel Ward off your boards in the mock drafts. I had Denzel Ward going 13th to Washington, and he goes 4th. So
Yeah.
Big question here next with Denver. Is it going to be Chubb or Rosen?
This makes even more sense than the Cleveland Browns because you got the defensive MVP on the other side. Look what he did when he had DeMarcus Ware. They won a Super Bowl. You put Chubb there next to him again. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah, and I think they have solidified their QB situation. They're not looking to make any kind of moves there, so they're not looking to get in the QB sweepstakes. And you're not looking. I don't think they go offense in any way here.
I would hope not, but John always obsessed with quarterbacks, so
Yeah.
you never know.
Well, they let C.J. Anderson go, but this is such a big running back class that you could get a good one in the 2nd and 3rd round. I mean, Ronald Jones, who I think is a great running back, will probably be there in the middle of the 2nd round.
Or Rashad Penny,
Rashad Penny's a great running back.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is a big. I would assume that it's going to be Chubb. I would assume, but
well, that's what Dan and I said about pick number 4, and here we are.
Yeah.
So
It's always going to ruin things.
through our mock drafts, between the two of us, we've only had one right pick. That was me, Sam Darnold to the Jets.
Congratulations, Brandon.
It's a waste.
I agree. It's so tough to do. Here we go.
Children's Research Hospital helps ensure
Oh, we're talking
all
about the
kids
Children's Research
have a
Hospital. I
chance
thought we
to
had a
play
pick
60.
here.
This year, the NFL.
Yeah, I'll mute this a little bit. Keep that going. But yeah, the mocks are so hard. But the Giants kind of threw a wrinkle into the Browns plan, I believe. The Browns probably thought that the quarterback sweepstakes would go nuts and Saquon Barkley would fall to them at 4, and that obviously didn't happen. The Giants did the right thing, kept the pick, and drafted probably the best talent there.
I honestly thought that they were trying to make people scared with the Josh Allen announcement that, oh, well, maybe we should move like Denver. Maybe we should move up, or not Denver, but some other team move up, and maybe we can get Darnold or other stuff. And then when they announced this morning that it's definitely Baker, I just there's way too much free wine at dinner. That's all I got. I can't think of any other reason.
I'm sorry. I missed
here we go.
It's Bradley Chubb.
Yes.
Well, with Denver fans.
Hey, that's pretty scary. That's pretty scary.
So the Jets and Denver have made the 2 best selections, and okay. Well, I'll give the running back a great selection. I haven't seen him carry it over 20 times, but everybody says he's Superman, so we'll see.
I don't think he'll ever be called upon to carry it 20 times in New York. As long as everybody's healthy.
You don't think they're going to use him like they use Zeke?
Depends on how that offensive line is. There's just no sense in running the ball.
You know what? You can run up some lineman's butt 10 times in a row and only gain a yard. So
Yeah, it hasn't gone anywhere. The ground game is just sputtered there in the carousel.
He is a good pass catcher though, so he could end up catching 100 balls his rookie year.
That's what I'm saying. Dan has got a little bit of.
I'm starting to see your side now here.
Both of you guys should be a little scared. I told Dan before you came on, Bo, that I think your Redskins and Dan's Cowboys are going to be fighting for 3rd and 4th in the NFC East.
Yeah, the fact that we traded for a quarterback exactly like the quarterback we just had shows a lot of thought put into the process and.
Older too. You traded.
Older.
Yeah.
And if he throws it further than 20 yards down the field, it's a mistake. He didn't mean to.
Yeah,
but I don't. It's. I think Dallas is going to be really good. I don't know why you think Dallas isn't going to be. I mean, they're going to be back to normal, and they're probably going to pick up some help in the draft. They need some safety help and maybe a linebacker that doesn't get hurt every 3 games, So.
It's to me, and I love the kid as a kid, but it's Dak Prescott. The offensive dynamic is just not
what's
there
the
to
key
me.
word? He can be a game manager all the time. He can hand it to Dak, throw it to Witten, was it Newman? Is that him on the outside? Just
Williams.
Do that. Williams. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So
and he could do that. He could do that. And he could win 12 games this year doing that.
He could. You no longer have Dez to reach up and grab balls. If
He couldn't do that last year or the year before that.
I understand, but I don't think
Pick
this
us in.
is done by any stretch of the imagination. Witten's probably on his last year. And
Yeah,
he's of course, he's 38, 39.
He should just get in a cab and drive straight to Canton.
Yeah,
he's,
for
he's
sure.
really good.
But I don't see that dynamic. I think there's going to be some sloppy games where Dallas is kind of stuck in the mud there, and better
So the
hope that Zeke
difference-
has 150.
So the difference between 2 years ago and this year is that
Defenses didn't know what to expect from Dak Prescott, and
Okay.
the Cowboys were still a little bit healthy and had a
Well, here's a-
rookie.
here's a curveball. 2 years ago they played a 8-8 schedule or whatever it was. Last year they played a number 1 schedule, and now this year they're playing another 8-8 schedule. So they might just bounce back again.
Yeah, I agree.
Looking deep into the schedule, I like it.
Well, that's how they've done it. But every time, that's why the Patriots are so amazing, because they win 11, 12 games a year, and they're always at the number 1 schedule, always playing the tough teams. And, you see the South, the AFC South. 1 year, every other year, a different team wins it because they get an easier schedule. My alarm's going off. Hold on.
And I really don't think, as far as the way the schedule looks now, is I really don't think that the Giants and the Redskins are getting any kind of respect. So that looks like a fairly soft schedule when you're going to play those guys 4 games out of the season, 4 of your 16. So right there, a quarter of your season. Here we go with the Colts pick.
With the 6th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Quentin Nelson, guard,
Okay.
Notre Dame.
Trying to protect your quarterback.
Yep, it's finally getting somebody to protect Andrew Luck, and I mean it might be a little bit too late, but you're learning.
Do you think he's going to stay a guard, or they'll transition him into tackle?
I think he's going to be a guard. Yeah, I mean he's going to be a great guard. I have him comped to Zach Martin, so
That's a great. Yeah, that's.
I love what I see in the tape.
That's number 1 right there in the league, Zach Martin.
So let me ask you, Dan, do you think there's any chance that the Colts try to get in this, or maybe second round, and think about a quarterback? Because Andrew Luck is not even really throwing the ball from the last reports I heard. I mean, he's just now getting to the point where he's even maybe lightly throwing the ball. I'm not so sure this dude is going to bounce back. You just said it may be too late. It might be too late. Do they need to think about a quarterback?
Yeah, I think the tough part is where they're going to be looking in the second round. If 5 quarterbacks go in this first round of the draft, it's pretty slim pickings after that. I mean, you got a couple guys like Mike White, Luke Falk, Kyle Lauletta, Mason Rudolph. Rudolph is probably the best of the bunch, but I'm not really high on anybody else to really be a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL besides this top 5. So you're hurting if that's the case.
So Dan nailed the first offensive lineman to come off the board, Quentin Nelson.
I would think that Buffalo, if there was ever a time for them to move up, it would be now. To take a quarterback.
For who? For what?
For Josh Rosen.
Oh, okay. All right.
I would think that would come 7, 8, 9. I mean, Miami's at 11. The Jets just got Darnold. Miami visited with all the quarterbacks and then some. You'd think that Buffalo would be like, hey, they visit with Rosen a lot too. Maybe he falls to them, but I wouldn't take the chance at this point. If they were to trade up.
But do they have the draft picks and the?
Oh yeah, they got the draft picks. It's just
okay.
They have 2 firsts. They pick 12th and 22nd, and then they have 2 seconds. So yeah, they could definitely make it happen. And the fact that it's Tampa Bay, can't think of who picks 8th, but 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th.
So the Bucks are on the clock. They're going to pick a punter here with the 7th overall pick.
That field goal kicker worked out so well. I don't see why not.
That's what we were talking about. What was his name, Dan?
Roberto
Roberto Aguayo. Yeah. That missed his first ever NFL kick after not missing a one kick ever at Florida State. Missed his first
He
NFL
was dude
kick.
perfect at Florida State. Yeah,
Yep. Never missed a
winning
kick.
games. He was big man on campus, and
So Tampa Bay
then
cut him.
pooped the bed.
He signed with somewhere else, I forgot, and lasted there like a week after playing like
Buffalo
one game.
just moved up with Tampa Bay.
There you go, Ryan. There you go. Quarterback.
Needed 2 second-round picks to move up to the Bucs spot. It's got to be Josh Rosen here.
That's a good
Allen.
call on your part, Ryan.
Rosen or Allen, though? Should it be Allen?
I think it should be Rosen based on how much they visited with him, but it might be Allen.
As a person who lives in Buffalo but does not root for the Bills, I hope it's Rosen. He's my 4th-ranked quarterback in this class. Allen's my 1st. So we'll see exactly what happens, but it's obviously going to be one of those two guys. They scouted Rosen a lot more throughout the college season. Ryan, you've alluded to it before, how many times they scouted UCLA games.
Right.
But I just think there's too much potential with Allen to become not only just a franchise quarterback, but a guy that can lead you to a Super Bowl. A lot of attitude questions. Do you love the game with Josh Rosen? And his comments in this last week came off very Baker Mayfield-ish to me. How he's so much better than everybody else in the draft. Yeah, you're allowed to have confidence to a point. But when does that confidence turn into cockiness, and when is that locker room not going to rally around you anymore? So Rosen has some questions that he would need to answer. But the Bills are going to find out, which we're going to find out who's high on their list all along, because these are the two guys that I think they were really kind of shooting for besides Darnold.
Well, the stereotype, and I hate to throw in stereotypes, Buffalo, blue collar, big show. No, that's Chicago. But anyways, go to 6 days a week, go to work, 7 days a week, go to work. Snow, just get it done. And you got California boy Rosen laid back, got a hot tub in his dorm room. Just a stereotype. I mean, you'd have to win over the city, the players, the stray cats running around. I mean, it'd just be a total non-fit, and it's a terrible way to stereotype it, but it just seems like a non-fit. And cold weather, I haven't seen Rosen play in, like the Buffalo Bills sheets of snow coming down where you tackle somebody and they disappear in the drift. I haven't seen Rosen play in anything like that.
Yeah, the Bills fans got to be happy though, because they wanted to do this, and I don't think did we see what they gave up?
2 second-round picks.
Not bad.
That's
not bad.
If they get what he wants, if they really wanted Rosen,
Memphis Mafia,
Rosen, yeah,
the Memphis Mafia in the house.
2 second-round picks. I thought it would be a first, maybe in next year's draft. I did think that would, but I'm thankful that it's not.
Yeah. I think this was the perfect trade partner for the Bills, honestly. Here we go.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have traded the 7th pick to the Buffalo Bills. With the 7th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Josh Allen, quarterback, Wyoming.
Josh Allen, Dan's number 1.
Yeah, that doesn't make me too happy, but I just don't want Buffalo. I don't want Buffalo to ruin another quarterback's career, and sadly, that could be the case here.
Yeah, it could be.
So,
well, the NFL
they got snow in Wyoming, don't they?
What's that?
Yeah, and he played outside. Yeah, but no, the NFL does not like Rosen, do they? He missed on the first, the third, or the second and third. I mean, these are all the way up to 4 were quarterback picks.
So what does that say about Rosen? Because now you got a guy who is getting some last-minute controversy in some things about his past leading up to the draft, and he was drafted over Rosen.
Yeah,
what does it say about how Rosen has fallen?
If he was a kid and everybody's they're trying to give him a pass as a kid, they're not going to do it right now because everybody's so PC and scared to say anything. But he was 13, 14 years old. He shouldn't have said it. It was in context with a rap song, but in this climate, he doesn't know any better, but now he does. And meanwhile, Rosen, who's just out there He's in that what is that car that's heading to Mars right now? He's sitting in the passenger seat right now.
I do think that there needs to be some attention brought to the fact that his own coach, Josh Rosen,
Tore him up.
It said that if he were the Browns, he'd take Sam Darnold over Josh Rosen. I think that, to me, that was a little bit of a red flag, and I am not shocked in the slightest. I told thousands of Bills fans that if Buffalo had the choice between Allen and Rosen, do not be shocked if it was Josh Allen. My buddy Eric's here now, and I said it could be Allen, and then they say Josh Allen, and Buffalo fans have to – they asked for this. They asked for the Bills to get a quarterback. They can't be mad about the one that they picked. They just can't.
Likelihood that Buffalo comes out of this smelling a lot better than Cleveland did, and also not giving up much for him. 2 second-round picks is nothing compared to what we were seeing they were going to have to give up to move up to number 2 just a week ago.
Right. And had they moved up to 2, they would have had to have given up that much. Instead, they waited. They waited for someone to fall to them, whether it was Rosen or Allen, and they took Allen out of the 2 for the reasons that outside of Josh Rosen's playing ability or durability questions or maturity question marks, Allen can sling the ball unlike any other quarterback in this draft.
But you have to sling it at somebody to catch it, and not just
true
over their heads.
They got some better weapons in Buffalo than they did in Wyoming. I'd like to.
They absolutely do. They absolutely do.
So just looking at the draft order now, guys, how far does Rosen fall now? Because
the Redskins will take him because they're silly.
Chicago at 8, San Fran at 9, Oakland at 10.
None of them need a quarterback.
Cardinals can trade up, I think.
Yeah, that's a good call right there. They're at 15, right?
Quarterback.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You can see Arizona may possibly make a move and try and get one of the last of these guys left.
That would probably cost them a couple second rounders too.
At least, yep.
Yeah, that's a good trade if that's the guy you want. I think Rosen would work good in Arizona.
So that has me just wondering a little bit further, guys, is if Rosen may say they don't move up. Chicago's not taking a quarterback. San Fran, Oakland, Miami, right? Are any of those guys even interested in a quarterback?
I don't know about Miami because what's his name? The quarterback, I forget his name. He's had injury issues for the past 3 years.
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, he's always hurt, so they might probably. Well, maybe not now, but I'm sure they'll take a quarterback soon. But I don't know if they would want to. I don't know. That's a hard one.
If we're looking at Rosen possibly falling that far, what does that mean for Lamar Jackson and then a guy that Dan had even higher on his board than Baker Mayfield, Mason Rudolph? I mean, what does that say about those guys? They could be slipping quite a ways. Or some of these teams
I think Dan
sweepstakes might
was
move
taking envelopes of money from Mason Rudolph because I don't understand his ranking of Mason Rudolph, but I think Mason Rudolph is a second-round pick anyways. I don't understand, Dan.
I have a second-round pick. I don't think he's going to go tonight. Lamar Jackson will. I think somebody's going to fall in love with the athlete that Lamar Jackson is.
Pure speed, yeah, absolutely.
He could be the heir apparent to Tom Brady. Your boy, Brandon, who's going to play till he's 45. He groom Lamar Jackson for a couple of years. I wouldn't be surprised if New England takes Jackson with one of their 2 first-round picks.
He's what they call rich people problems. If you take him because you already got all the riches. So, yeah, man, at the bottom of the draft, you got the New England Patriots and, I don't know, maybe Pittsburgh. I mean, why wouldn't they love speed too? They had Slash.
Right.
That's something that they've been known for. So I can see him going at the bottom easy.
What I'm seeing here is a theme of hatred by our Bo Adams of the state of Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, with the Russell Westbrook now just bashing on Mason Rudolph. I mean,
I didn't. I wasn't. He is a good quarterback. I'm sorry, he is a good quarterback, but yeah, just not anywhere close to. Okay, you know what? Maybe there's just a drop off between 4 and 5, and that's what we just have to deal with. But
could be.
You put Mason Rudolph ahead of Lamar Jackson, right, Dan?
No, he had Lamar Jackson number 3. Here's the pick from the Chicago Bears. We'll listen to that.
With the 8th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Roquan Smith, linebacker, Georgia.
Try to build that defense back up.
You don't like Roquan, do you, Dan?
I mean, I think he's a good player. I think he is a first round pick. I didn't have him anywhere near the top 10. I actually in the mock draft we did, I didn't have him going in the first round. He just can't shed blocks. He's not a very good diagnoser of plays, and he if you watch that Oklahoma tape in the college football playoff, he was glued to blocks. He couldn't shed them at all. So
not a real big guy either.
No, well, that's the thing is he's so small. He can't see over the lineman. He struggled a little bit on a lot of the tape that I saw. Great athlete, speed, high football IQ, leadership, but he's undersized. He doesn't use his hands to attempt to get off those types of blocks. So,
going back in the day, I should say, I liken him to a Robert Jones type of linebacker.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's when those defenses were using speed. I mean, Alabama is run forward and hit somebody type of defenses, and he wasn't. I'll tell you what, in the championship game, he looked a lot better against Georgia than he did against Oklahoma. He made some really nice plays coming off the edge, speed plays. So yeah, if you facing up and up in a middle linebacker situation, trying to take on a tight end, no, he's going to lose that. But all the other intangibles, all the other measurables, I think, like I said, Robert Jones just catching him from behind.
So Dan had him ranked his 5th, but I gonna have to agree with Dan here. It's a little bit of a stretch if you're going linebacker to pass up Tremaine Edwards, Rashaan Evans, Harold Landry, even Van Der Esch for Roquan Smith, who is 6
Tremaine
foot.
Edwards is the best athlete linebacker who can't play football. Watch the tape.
I love Tremaine Edwards. I'm very high on him.
Jump out of a stadium, run over people, but does not know how to play football.
And he's only 19 years old, so he's got some room to grow and learn there. And that's
smart.
I think that's who the Bears should have went with instead of Roquan.
Brian Urlacher or Von Miller is the comp by Dan. Those guys can play football.
Nobody understood Urlacher. Not nobody, but people didn't appreciate Urlacher's athleticism. I can see that. Yeah, that's absolutely a good call.
True.
I mean, he played safety at New Mexico State, and he was an awesome safety. And then he moved him to linebacker. How would you like to do that? Spend all your time back there in the backfield, and all of a sudden, you got a 300-pound lineman coming at you.
He was just a nasty guy that got pumped up.
Yeah.
So the 49ers, the pick is already in. Hey, and is this just me or is this a new rule? Has it always been like this? What is this? What's the random time count here? Is it 8 minutes on the clock between picks?
I thought it was always 6.
Is it? I thought
5.
it's been more than 6. I thought I saw more than
the trade one. They give you more time. If you make a trade, they'll bump the time up. But the other ones it's always a set time because I remember 2 years ago that a team missed their set 5 minutes or 6 minutes. And had to give up their trade or their pick?
I have to pay attention next time, but I thought I saw more than 6 minutes on the clock between picks so far.
Okay.
But the 49ers selected so quickly, you couldn't really tell. So
they're probably going cornerback there, huh, Dan?
Yeah, I would think defense. They're definitely gonna kind of. I like Edmonds. Edmonds with this pick. You never know with Foster. Obviously, his girlfriend recanted the story, but I think
that was a career. He was going to go to jail for a long time unless she did that. That was just awful. But that just leads to other problems because the old if you're a jerk in your 20s, you're a jerk in your 30s, and so I don't think that's going to get any better.
One of the key additions for them is Richard Sherman, maybe aging to some, but Richard.
If they let
Sherman,
him play with his cane, he'll be fine.
Signed Jerick McKinnon. A few.
I like McKinnon.
Re-up their offensive line.
Here we go.
So let's see what they do.
Francisco does now. With the 9th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Mike McGlinchey, offensive tackle, Notre Dame.
That's
it's
a guy I
reach,
was
right?
pretty high on. I think he's going to be a really good offensive lineman. Those guys from Notre Dame, I don't know, but I had him a lot higher. What did I tell you, Dan? I told you he was going to be top 10, and he did.
Yeah. I hated this tackle class completely. I don't think there's many good franchise type of left tackles in this class. I think McGlinchey's going to end up being a right tackle in the NFL. I mean, I comped him to a Tennessee Titan, your boy Taylor Lewan, who's pretty good, but without the mean streak. And that's the thing in McGlinchey's game that I want to see more. I want to see some aggression. I want him to actually want to pop somebody, want to hit somebody. He's kind of loafs it a little bit too much. But he was my number 2 offensive tackle in the draft. So I don't mind the pick. I understand him being a first rounder, but a top 10 pick. I don't like that at all.
I had him going 1 pick ahead to the Bears. He fell 1 behind that to the 49ers. I like it. You got your new franchise quarterback. This could be the guy to help you out for years to come. We'll see.
I'm going to step away for a second, guys. Well, more than a second.
Sure thing. Bo's got the coolest avatar pick of any of us, Dan. Everybody, there you go. There you go. Everybody can see that at home.
McGlinchey, you called it. You were right on that. Now I wonder if this is a record, 2 Notre Dame offensive linemen in the top 10 going. It's probably pretty rare, Brandon, but I'm going to want you to fact check that for me. So please get on that with you and your associates.
Okay, right on it. What did you say in the top 10?
Top 10, right?
Okay, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say no, that's never happened.
Okay, I agree.
I don't know.
I'm just going to agree with what you're saying, so you better be right. Yeah.
So here we go. The Raiders trade the pick to the Cardinals for...
Rosen. I would imagine this is a quarterback pick, unless it's Lamar Jackson.
It's got to be Rosen, right? It's got to be Rosen. He was
I would think so.
He was mocked so long by so many people as 1 or 2 in this draft, and now we're looking at the 10th pick. It's got to be. It's got to be, right? Unless they have fallen in love with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a quarterback, but I think we know that. So I think Rosen, he's the more polished passer, probably the most technically sound in the entire draft, mechanic-wise. Former tennis champ, tennis pro, could have gone pro in tennis, but that kind of helped with his footwork. It's just the attitude and off the field issues. Some question his arm. Josh Rosen has a good arm, accurate to all levels. So it's honestly, it's just his mental makeup I don't like. But yeah, I would think that has to be the pick here.
What have the Cardinals done in the offseason? They haven't addressed the retiring of Carson Palmer, right? They haven't signed him.
And Bradford. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. So,
but besides that, no, they lost Gabbert.
Signed Mike McGlinnan too.
Money on him.
Yep, signed Mike McGlinnan. And a surprise to me, released Tyrann Mathieu. Was he picked up by anyone yet?
Houston.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So what do you think, Dan? With Bradford, are you confident enough in Bradford to say, okay, you're going to be handed the keys to the car immediately, and we're going to bring along whoever we draft here, Rosen or Lamar Jackson, whoever it may be? Or is it going to be the rookie from day one and Sam Bradford is just the backup?
Well, I mean, Sam Bradford can get hurt in training camp very easily. He can get hurt tomorrow slipping in his driveway in 80-degree weather. So you never know with Sam Bradford. So you always definitely need an insurance policy, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do. And if you have that ability, you can groom him if Bradford's healthy, playing well, but you don't have to either. Rosen is going to be one of the guys that can step in. I would think he's more able to step in right away than a Lamar Jackson would be.
Just kind of looking at some of their other off-season moves. Of course, released Adrian Peterson to But they haven't really been real active or impacting in this offseason as of yet, Dan. Claimed wide receiver Kobe Hamilton.
Yeah, not too much.
Bryce Butler from your Cowboys. There you go.
Oh, yeah, and he's supposedly going to be a starter outside of Fitz, so that should be interesting, but I wasn't too impressed with him. But I'm looking at the draft board before the Cardinals make the pick, and obviously there's some guys still available. A guy I'm very high on, Vita Vea, my number one overall player in the draft. It would be a dream scenario if he can stay there to pick 19 for the Dallas Cowboys. I think he's exactly what they need to plug up that middle of the defensive line that frees up Sean Lee and Jalen Smith even more to kind of roam around as linebackers. So I'm keeping my eye on Vea. If not Vea, another defensive tackle, Daron Payne, who I'm also very high on. So I'm watching those two guys of where they might be able to fall to. Because now we're at pick 10. We know pick 10 is going to be a quarterback. And there's still some guys out there, Will Hernandez, Isaiah Wynn, James Daniels on the offensive line that I'm still high on. When is a receiver going to go? How early will a second running back go? Darius Geist should go. I predicted in the top 15, so we'll see if that happens.
Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Tremaine Edmonds.
We both had Minkah Fitzpatrick as a top 5 or 6 guy.
Yeah, definitely. I mentioned receivers, but Calvin Ridley, DJ Moore, who's supposedly climbing draft boards. There's a lot of things that are a lot of prospects that are starting to fall because of where this top 10 has kind of gone. It's been a little bit of a surprise. Obviously, you got that McGlinchey pick, but I didn't really see that coming. Baker Mayfield going 1 overall. To bring on the show to start the show. We talked about how Cleveland was going to be the domino effect, and them taking Baker Mayfield, I think, kind of threw everybody a little bit for a loop. The Jets get their guy, so I think the pick is in. Maybe.
I was trying to see, did you even have Baker Mayfield in the first round, Tran?
Oh, yeah. I had him, I think, 3rd to the Jets.
Okay, I skipped it. I was going too low. I didn't realize you had him that high. You had him to Tampa Bay. Trade via Arizona. There we go.
The Oakland Raiders have traded the 10th pick to the Arizona Cardinals. With the 10th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Josh Rosen, quarterback, UCLA.
And you can stop sweating, Josh. Josh was the guy in that green room that's been sweating it out so far, as he fell a lot further than he probably thought he would. Number 10, Arizona has their guy of the future, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong if you're Arizona with this pick. I think they gave up their first-round pick this year, obviously that 15 selection, to move up 5 spots. They also gave up a 3rd and a 5th, so it wasn't too crazy to move up. They didn't give up a ton. And Rosen, he can be a solid guy, a quarterback, if he gets his off the field stuff worked out. I have him comp to Jeff George, just to give you an idea. All the skill set in the world, but can you ever put it together mentally on the field? And that's what I have my question marks about him.
So you just mentioned they didn't really give up much, or if not much at all. But do you think it was worth it? Do you think they probably could have got him at 15? Because we look at the teams in front of them. Oakland, Miami, the trade with Buffalo, I guess. Who moved into that pick from Buffalo?
I think he probably would have traded up for him, or maybe a Miami would have taken him there at 11. So
got to jump in there on your spot. That's true. That is true.
Yeah, you don't want to miss out on your guy. If they're high on him, you got to kind of go get it.
So now, Minkah Fitzpatrick to the Dolphins, Dan?
That would be a good. Tremaine Edmonds, I think, might be another solid pick here. Any defense for Miami will kind of help, I believe. I think they need a lot of defensive help. I actually have their needs here. I have tight end, offensive line, linebacker, and defensive back as their top needs. So with Edmonds and Fitzpatrick on the board, I would hope it's going to be one of those two guys.
When as RH was talking about earlier with Tannehill's injury history recently, I know how you've expressed this on the podcast before. You're okay with Tannehill going forward, right? You think he's solid. He's the guy. No need to look elsewhere. I'm not sold.
Yeah, I like him as long as he's healthy. He might not win you a Super Bowl, but he's a playoff type quarterback, and I just don't think there's anything better in this where they're drafting now with all these top quarterbacks kind of gone. Maybe a Lamar Jackson, but does he fit that type of scheme that they've run there? Probably not. So you're not going to find anything better than Tannehill right now, quarterback wise, in the draft.
I'm gonna just burst into tears of joy, and I want RH back, Bo, before this happens. But if the Redskins are the ones that draft Lamar Jackson,
that would be something. More quarterback competition. They kind of need that in Washington. Dan Snyder kind of thrives off that, I think. But Alex Smith, Lamar Jackson, probably couldn't get two more opposite type of quarterbacks in one room together.
Josh Rosen is the first UCLA quarterback selected in the first round since Cade McCown, 1999, I believe that said. So 20 years UCLA hadn't had a first round quarterback, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think of who they even kind of had this after McCown McNown that was anybody, and nothing. I mean, UCLA as a football program has taken a huge hit. They're nothing like they used to be. So yeah, I mean, it seems like it's shocking, but it really isn't when you think about how bad the UCLA program has been lately.
Here we go. I believe the pig is in.
I mean, he started 30 games, 3 years, 3 different offensive coordinators. Where I think he'll benefit the most is having Jedd Fisch, who has a lot of NFL experience, brought a system that I think will make it a little bit easier in transitioning to the league. He's quick with his reads, has quick eyes. Like I said,
I don't think they're ready for the pig. I saw people at the podium, so I'm ready. I don't know what they're doing. Well, Michael Irvin was on stage, so I don't know what they're doing. But again, did you break down Miami's needs?
Yep. So tight end, offensive line, linebacker, and defensive back is what I have for them. And I have a really good friend who is a Dolphins fan. He's hoping, praying for Tremaine Edmonds, and I know why. I'm very high on Edmonds. I think he can be a franchise type.
with the 11th pick
Sorry.
in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Minkah Fitzpatrick, defensive back, Alabama.
Had to be one of those two guys.
Yeah, and my father, who was watching the show, is also texting me, and he texted me and said Minkah Fitzpatrick's going to be the pick, and he wants a shout out if he was correct. So he is correct. So not only does he pick NFL draft picks better than us, Brandon, but he beats us in March Madness.
Yeah, I was about to say, come on, Papa Shaw. You're gonna have to stay out of our pools from now on. You're making us look bad, or you're gonna have to come on the show regularly, if that's the case. But yeah, he nailed it. He don't speak much, but when he speaks the truth.
Yeah, and he's actually he's become more of an NFL draft guru than I have this year, with all the knowledge that he's dropped on me. So he's been pretty good with his predictions of this NFL draft so far. So, give it up for Papa Shaw there.
And Bo is back with the champagne. He's popped the champagne bottle, ready.
No, I'm getting ready for the Redskins pick. I got my medicine. I got a glass of wine.
You, they're gonna pick Lamar Jackson for you, Bo, and I'm just gonna.
You know what? I'd be okay with that, actually.
Really?
Yeah. No, of course not.
But are you? How comfortable are you with Alex Smith too?
He's gone to playoffs games and he's won some, so that's more than Kirk ever did. Kirk Cousins. What I always said about Kirk Cousins when they were looking everybody was like trying to woo him, I said, if you want a quarterback that throws soul-crushing interceptions at the end of the games, that's your man, because that's all he ever did. They'd be within 3 points. All they had to do was get a field goal. He'd throw an interception at the 10-yard line, the 5-yard line, or the end zone. So
He
good luck,
was always
Minnesota.
erratic. He was really bad. He was always erratic, it seemed, though, which was part of his
His
good
best
qualities
years were,
too.
were with Shanahan, the son, because that's just an awesome offense. And he had two great receivers. Well, really good receivers. And Jordan Reed was healthy. And then last year, when none of that was happening, he racked up some yards, but just he couldn't win the games. I mean, they snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory at least 5 times. It was heart-wrenching, but I'm okay.
We're good. With a little bit of medication, you'll get through this.
Yeah. I was just trying to play with you guys there. Oh, hey, look, the Vegas Golden Knights. Another bottle of wine from the Vegas Golden Knights.
Hey, wow, there you go. That's nice.
I guess the owner of the team has a winery, so he gives them away at the casinos for the reward points. So you can either have a pot holder or a bottle of wine. I took the bottle of wine.
Nope, there you go. Nice choice. So let me ask you, being in Vegas, were you from the DC area originally?
Yeah, I was born in Virginia.
Okay.
I was there for a couple of years, and my mom and dad got divorced. And I'm assuming my mom really disliked my dad because she moved us 2,500 miles to California. So I grew up there, but the Redskins were already in my blood. I still remember, like I wrote in the email, I still remember the first Super Bowl the Skins were in against Miami, and we played the whole game, and we should have won that whole game, but they ended up pulling it out off of the interception at the end of the game, and that still sticks with me, and I'm 51. So, yeah, I'm a Redskin fan. But they've been bad.
You've had some good times. You've had some bad times.
Yeah,
you're
the
about
80s,
to have a brand new team in your backyard, though.
Yeah, I'm actually excited about it because I've never had any dislike for the Raiders. Unlike some people, just don't like the way their organization was run or is run. But with David Carr and John Gruden, I think there's good things in the future. They won't be here for a couple of years, but yeah, I mean they broke ground on the stadium. They broke ground on a practice facility over by where I live, and it's going to be fun.
Some of the renderings of the new stadium is awesome. It is going to be new level, futuristic, and it's going to be nice. It's going to be a happening time there.
Yeah, and it's off the freeway, so it shouldn't be too difficult. They bought the land around the stadium for parking, so they won't have to deal with issues like that, like they've had before with other stadiums, like in St. Louis and stuff like that. But yeah, it should be great.
So the Bucks are finally on the clock, I guess. Their pick is in. So is this your Tremaine Edmunds pick finally, Dan? I mean, it would make sense for them too.
Edmunds, yeah. I mean, Edmunds and Vea are my highest players ranked on the board. In the needs that I have for the Bucks, safety, defensive line, and offensive line. So
I think Vita Vea is a good pick for them. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Vea Payne, linebacker's not on the list, but anytime you have a guy of Tremaine Edmunds' capability, I would definitely take him here.
You know why he's falling, right?
Because he's only 19.
Because he doesn't know how to play football.
I mean, I've seen some.
Watch the tape.
Oh, I did. I watched it. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some people down on Edmunds, not as much as our boy Bo here. I don't get it.
I think he's okay. Like Cam Newton's a quarterback. The body, that kind of type of body is Tremaine Edmunds. He's tall, he's strong, he's fast. But like you said, he's 19. So okay, here we go.
Here we go.
With the 12th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Vita Vea.
Good.
Washington.
Good call, Dan.
Yeah.
He must be from Hawaii, Dan.
I mean, this is my guy. This is my number one overall player in the entire draft. He's so powerful. He knows how to shed blocks. He's got a motor that won't quit. He's actually fast for his size. I have his comp as Haloti Ngata, but better. But seeing him in a Tampa Bay uniform, he's going to look a lot like Warren Sapp to me. He doesn't have the pass rush moves yet, but get him with a defensive line coach and just watch him go to work. I love this.
That's
pick.
funny because the commissioner is not a small man. He's 6'4". Look at Vitavea's like dominating him in this picture. That's a big man. Yeah, if he's as quick as you say he is and as fast, then he's gonna do well.
What do we think about the offensive woes of the Bucs this past season? What exactly happened? Small injury, shoulder injury, or whatever aside from Jameis Winston.
Did you watch the HBO Hard Knocks?
Yeah.
When
and I thought that was going to be a dynamic.
Eat a win. We're going to eat a win. When
what?
The quarterback said it was a pregame game, and we need to get a win. We're going to eat a win, and he made a W like this, and he started eating his fingers. You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember that one.
That's exactly why they had trouble this year. He still hasn't matured. He's got all the talent in the world. He needs to lose about 15 pounds, maybe 20, and he does not accept responsibility, and he makes some of the worst decisions on and off, or not off the field so much because he's never been in too much trouble except for the crab legs thing.
You do have good points there, and I always worried about that. But we're getting older. But what I took away from that Hard Knocks is I'm not sure that quarterback coach is making anybody better. I don't remember the guy's name, but from what I saw from the quarterback's coach, I'm like, how did you get this job? So I'm not sure the personnel is there. And after the drop off that Jameis and the whole offense saw last year, I'm not sure keeping Dirk Cutter was the correct decision. We don't know that.
Wasn't that Jameson's guy though? Didn't after the first year, Dirk and him were like
that doesn't
like this?
mean that people don't always know what's best for them.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe relationships for way too long all the time.
Maybe Cutter was enabling Jameson to be a idiot. Idiot's a strong word, but a goofball.
I thought we were seeing a more maturing Jameis Winston. Maybe I was a little bit hopeful, and I think we saw some flashes of that, but something was just not connecting there.
No,
something was
right.
just not connecting.
And then
Evans, the same thing with the Giants. I just felt like something did not connect under Ben McAdoo with the Giants. You had all the talent. I mean, that team had just made a Super Bowl a few years ago. They were a playoff caliber team, but he took them from a Coughlin system and just ran them into the ground to where they're picking number 2 in this year's draft.
Well, his coaching decisions and his coaching demeanor in his press conferences and all around unprofessional. And he threw Eli under the bus 2 or 3 times. And that's, as a head coach, you're the one that jumps under the bus. So, yeah, he didn't have – I mean, maybe as an offensive coordinator, he was a savant. But as a head coach, he doesn't get it.
So, based on best talent available right now, Dan, are you gonna suggest that Bo's Redskins take Tremaine Edmondson?
It would be perfect. I mean, I don't like it because I'm a Cowboys fan, and I know Edmonds can play football. So I don't like it for that aspect.
With the Redskins linebacker core the way it is right now, they got some veterans on there, then he'd be a great fit. So they would teach him how to play football and watch his back and keep him out of trouble. So, yeah, you're right. It's perfect. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I have their needs right now is more defensive line, offensive line, more than anything else. I don't know if you would agree with that, Bo. But just some names, if that's the case, you got Deron Payne, you got Will Hernandez, Isaiah Wynn, James Daniels. So there are some names to be had. Where do you think they're going to go? What position?
Well, the left, what's his name? The left tackle. Oh God, he's been over there for 10, 15 years. Yeah, Trent Williams. I'm sorry. Thank you. He's falling apart. He's melting on the inside. So, but there's no great tackles or anything worth a first round pick right now. I'd have to say defensive line. I mean, we need would you say Martinez?
Will Hernandez offensive.
Will Hernandez. Yeah, he's a big body that it's got some off the line push, so I wouldn't mind something like that.
Deron Payne.
Yeah, that's what Papa Schmaltz says. Yep.
Yeah, I'd be happy with both of them. That's why they'll take a receiver.
They got that new quarterback weapon. They got to. Alex Smith is going to be throwing downfield, guys.
Well, then there's not too many receivers taken in the first round that are just bubble screen guys, because that's all he throws is bubble screens and 5-yard outs. So I don't know. There's still,
as a Redskins fan, how excited could you possibly be about this season with Alex Smith as your quarterback? Honestly, I probably
like I
would have
said
been more
earlier,
excited.
they just traded for a quarterback that they already had. So no, I'm not excited at
An
all.
an older one who, like you said, he has a proven playoff
And
history, but it's not
good
necessarily
at history, but he's also got some injuries, nothing major, but he had that concussion, and it's not a lie that when you have a concussion, you're susceptible to get another one right away. I've had 6 or 7, and the first one was like, oh wow, and then the second one was like, happened immediately. So yeah, it's oh, here we go.
Yep.
With the 13th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Deron Payne.
All right, I don't have to chug that glass of wine.
Papa Shalk does it again.
Yeah, another one is right.
You're killing the second half of the top 10 or the top 15, aren't you?
Yeah, so I mean, Deron Payne, he's strong, powerful. He can stuff the run. He does a decent job rushing the passer. He was the leader of that Alabama defense. So anytime you can lead a bunch of NFLers,
right, that's what they had at NFLers. Yeah,
I mean that means quite a bit. And Deron Payne, high football IQ, puts in the work in the weight room, film room. He needs to add some more pass rush moves. His lateral quickness might not be the best. I have him comped to Linval Joseph, so who is a solid player, Pro Bowler in his own right. But I think Payne could be better than that, and I like that pick. It makes sense.
I think the Redskins have got a Alabama connection because they picked 2 Alabama defensive players last year, and now they're starting off with an Alabama defensive player this year.
So
Not that there's nothing wrong with that. You might as well, if you could, you draft the whole defense.
So are they going to go back to maybe the way the Kansas City mold used to be 5 years or so ago with a very strong defense and Alex Smith is just a game manager, and if you can score 20 points, you win games?
That would be great because then I wouldn't be sweating at the end of games why my team, the Redskins, tries to get downfield to get within field goal range because we'd be up by 10 points and the other team wouldn't have a chance to score. So yeah, I'm old school. I'd be happy with that. I'd be way happy with that.
Yep.
Because it's one thing that got to me last year, and it has, even though they played better defense than the year before, I mean, when it's 14-0 and you go into the second half and all of a sudden it's 21-14, you're just like, what? You just had to go down and get first downs, maybe kick a field goal, and that you throw an interception for a touchdown, and now you let them drive down for another touchdown, and then they're killing you on third and 5. So yeah, it's I know it's frustrating for everybody, but it just seemed like the Redskins pretty much had a patent on that last year. If it
was just that easy, Bo, then the Falcons would have had a Super Bowl 2 years ago.
No, that's all Shanahan's fault. You should have just run the ball. That's it. Easy as pie.
I don't get it. But what I do
actually, you could put it on the quarterback too, on Matt, because he could have called the play different.
Should have just said, "Hey, no, I ain't doing that. Look at the score."
And they were in field goal range. That would put the game out of reach.
I got a serious suggestion here, though, Dan, because I'm always thinking about the future. I'm always thinking about how to better my life and better the lives of folks around me. Papa Shalk needs to go visit Bo Adams there in Vegas and just make a week trip out of it. I'll fund some of the trip, and
I got contacts at hotel rooms. I'll get him a hotel room.
There you go. And let Papa Shalk make us all a whole lot of money because he is nailing everything he touches. He's got the Midas touch here in the last month or so. Only one of our group to pick Villanova. They did it. Now he's nailed 2 picks. I think he's only spoken up about 2 picks, and he's nailed them both.
Yeah, I mean, it runs in the family. We family of geniuses, I guess you would say. Draft guys. Football intelligence is off the chart. So yeah, I mean, it runs in the family. So that's why you got to read the draft profiles on the site. You'll find out Tremaine Edmonds can play some football. I mean, we're going. So is the Saints, I think, are now on the clock? Did they trade up to that spot?
Yeah, the Saints have traded all the way up from 27.
So they must want somebody really badly. That's a pretty decent move.
To 14, what are they looking at, Dan? What are the Saints looking at?
Maybe it's Edmonds.
Yeah, I think Edmonds might be a good pick. We'll go to Papa Schalk again. He says DJ Moore or Lamar Jackson. I don't agree with that, so I'm gonna say no. But DJ Moore, the Saints do need another receiver outside of Michael Thomas. Ted Ginn is only going to be good for so long. They lost Willie Snead to the Ravens.
Yeah, they matched the offer. Yeah,
free agent. So wide receiver definitely is a need. I would like Calvin Ridley if they're going to pick a receiver here. Are they
the guy from Tennessee?
Who?
The guy, the receiver. I can't think of his name. The receiver from Tennessee who's also a kick returner.
I do not know.
The guy from Memphis?
Is it Memphis?
Anthony Miller?
No. I was looking on my phone, but here, let me go.
What does Dan's wide receivers look like? So we got Calvin Ridley, Anthony Miller.
Dan?
You don't have anybody from Tennessee.
No, I do not.
Christian Kirk from Texas A&M.
Christian Kirk. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Tennessee,
Texas A&M.
Texas. My bad. I'm sorry. Christian Kirk.
It's all the same.
Yeah, I think he's a multi-faceted player. So I think
5'10", not a big guy, but maybe he can be your Julian Edelman.
But you get your kick returns, you get your bubble screens, you got your speed on the bubble screens, and instead of just being like your X receiver or your Y receiver, I think you can move into a Y or next position.
He's going to be
and still be good.
You've seen what Brady has done with these guys time and time again. The Danny
Edelman's 5'8",
Julian Edelman, the Wes Welkers. I mean, yeah.
And he's a lot faster than Edelman, I'll tell you that.
And the Saints gave up a pretty penny to move up. So they gave up their 27th pick in this year's draft, number 147 in this year's draft, and a 2019 first rounder.
Whoa.
So,
wow.
That's higher than the
they gave up a pretty
Cardinals paid for.
Well, then I'm trying to think that who's the best available talent, and
their needs are on defense, aren't they? I mean, they do need another receiver, but don't they
you have to be sold on someone really damn high.
Oh, big time.
Up that.
Yeah, I mean, I have the Saints' needs as the entire defense and tight end.
Yeah.
No.
I can't think of anybody on offense that I mean, like you said, they could use a receiver. But they got the running back duo. They the tight end is but they're not going to trade that much to move up that big for a tight end, would they? I mean,
no.
Do you see anybody that good at tight end?
And I don't think their receiving core though, or their offense in general, period, is needing that much to give up that much.
Well, you have Kamara, who's like a third receiver. He can be a slot receiver if you really need him to. So
and Ingram caught more balls last year than he had ever had before. So he's moving up better than that.
Kobe Fleener is serviceable.
Maybe it is Lamar Jackson. Maybe they really, really want Lamar Jackson.
If it's Lamar Jackson, I mean, we're gonna take you up on that offer to send because I would be shocked. I would be shocked if New Orleans traded up that much, gave up a future first to do so as well. I mean, they must be very high on Lamar Jackson. I would think they would think Breeze only has a year or two left. Which is
maybe they know something. Of course, all teams know something, But he's only 37, right?
He's old. Football standards.
There's not.
Yeah, but still, the way football's played in the past.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady played until he's 45. So
I mean, and the way he trains and he goes out with Navy SEALs and he eats right and. It's like all the other quarterbacks do now. I mean, the whole, quarterbacks used to end at 32.
Let's narrow it down a little bit, Dan. Is there any offensive line needs at all based on what's left?
Yeah, I actually like a lot of offensive linemen. Will Hernandez, James Daniels, Isaiah Wynn.
I mean, for the Saints, though, is there an immediate need that warrants this?
Not necessarily. I mean, they drafted Ryan Ramczyk last year in the first round.
The pick is in, so we'll see soon. They made the pick quick too, so they knew exactly what they wanted.
They did. They moved up, and I'm pretty sure it's Tremaine Edmonds here. You almost
it's got to be right.
The Green Bay Packers have traded the 14th pick to the New Orleans Saints. With the 14th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Marcus Davenport.
Wow.
Defensive end.
I heard a lot about him. I never saw any tape on him, but I heard he's really, really good.
And you hear that comment, whoever that was, it just said, wow, gave up all that before
All
I
that.
needed
That's
it.
a quarterback type of trade. Okay, that you know what? My article's not done yet. That's going on it.
Yeah, I mean Marcus Davenport, he's got a ton of potential. This draft
Great, yeah.
is straight up on potential because he is raw right now. I mean, I have him comped to Randy Gregory without the legal issues.
Without the weed issues.
Yeah, right. So I mean, he's athletic for his size. He has great length. He's aggressive, and he kind of knows how to use his length to work around that edge of it as a pass rusher. But he doesn't have a set of moves that he goes to. He needs to kind of get with his position coach and kind of focus on that. And if he's going to be a 3-4 outside linebacker kind of edge rusher, you can't really ask him to drop into space and cover anybody right now. He doesn't.
Oh, he lost.
And he was crushing some pretty weak competition here. I mean, I know that's you never. I mean, you guys have to pass the eye test, but you playing Texas San Antonio, you're not playing the toughest competition.
Well, hopefully they looked at film when he was going up against at least a decent sized tackle or guard, because if he's going against 260-pound guys, yeah, that's not right. But if, a 300-pound guy is a 300-pound guy, they're kind of hard to get around.
So the team they traded with to make this pick, Green Bay. Do they potentially? Because they just won the lottery. They're good for. I think they did, and I think they're looking for a receiver here, and I think that they see the pattern of this draft, and they feel totally confident moving back to 27. Yeah, I think they feel totally confident moving back to 27 and grabbing a receiver.
Yeah, I had in a piece that I brought out today, I said only 2 receivers were going to be taken in the first round. So
I read your piece. Yeah, I read that.
So I think
Ridley and DJ Moore.
Yep, those were the 2. I don't have them ranked that way. I do have Ridley tied first, but DJ Moore isn't even in my top 5. But I think he will go. He will go tonight.
You need to make some phone calls, Dan. We got to get Anthony Miller in this first round.
No, I wouldn't mind him going second round to the Cowboys. So let's keep it hush hush.
I wouldn't mind him staying at home and staying in the state of Tennessee either. But we're approaching that mark now. It's the Raiders on the clock at 15. We're almost halfway through this thing, guys.
I gotta bail again. My phone's needs a quick charge.
No problem.
All right, see you guys in a minute.
And I guess we lost Ryan Thomas. Is he doing his own thing on the Thomas Take podcast?
He was drinking heavily, so you never know.
Bud Light. We tried to get him to drink the good stuff Heineken, but he wasn't going. He wasn't going.
Nope, it happens.
Some Bills fans. Okay, so the Raiders. Tremaine Edmonds, Dan? I mean,
if the Raiders can trade back and they still end up getting a linebacker like this, I thought it was going to be. I comped him or picked him to Vita Vea, but a lot of people had him taking Roquan Smith. So if they can trade back and get who I think is going to end up being better than Roquan Smith and Tremaine Edmonds, I think that's a win for John Gruden in his first year back with the Raiders. That's a great move if that's who they end up getting.
I also think this draft has done any team a favor that's looking for a linebacker, because you still got great talent out there. I mean, Roquan Smith was your 5th rated linebacker, so you still have Tremaine Edmonds out there, Rashawn Evans, Harold Landry, Vander Esch. You still got some really solid linebackers out there. So any team looking for a linebacker, I think they're sitting back and looking pretty good. You may even see more teams trade down if a team approaches them.
Yeah, without a doubt. We knew we were going to see a lot of trades in this draft just with the quarterbacks at the top. But now, I mean, there's still some guys. I think you're going to see some probably more trades towards the back end of this. Maybe a team like Cleveland is going to see a guy that they want, and they're going to get a 3rd first-round pick. I think they had 3, ended up with 3 last year because of a trade. They ended up trading up and getting David Njoku at the end of the first round. So I think you can see something similar from a team like that moving up late first. I know Philly does not want to pick in the first round. They're trying to trade out of that 32nd spot. So I think we're still going to see some moves, and there's still a lot of great talent that I'm still surprised is out there. I know offensive line, the tackle position is weak, but there's a ton of good guards like Will Hernandez, Isaiah Wynn, James Daniels, who can play center. I like some of those guys to go soon. And then receivers. I mean, Calvin Ridley's still on that clock. You mentioned Green Bay trading back in hopes of still probably collecting one. So we'll see there. Darius Geis, a guy that I think is just as talented as Saquon Barkley. When is he going to go? There's a lot of talk of Sonny Michel going in the first round. But Tremaine Edmonds still being on the board here at 15 is surprising, but I think the Raiders are picking.
Oh, and we had it. Sorry, we missed it. The pick was Colton Miller, Dan, offensive tackle, UCLA.
Oh, that's a terrible pick. That is terrible. Colton Miller, that's a tackle, and I didn't have a first-round grade on him. Kind of surprised that he went this early with some of the other names that I had just mentioned. I haven't comped Garrett Bowles, who went, I believe, in the first or second round to the Broncos last year. He has the size you look for, but he's stiff in his movements. His kick slide is bad. He's not a natural bender. He has power issues. So I'm not a huge fan of that draft pick.
Is it very possible, and I think it's very possible, that being right there in LA, that they just saw a lot of tape and saw a lot of this guy and fell in love with him, and he was the end all be all? I mean, they probably went to all the UCLA games, the scouts.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Gruden wants to protect his franchise quarterback in Derek Carr, so getting a tackle. But for the Raiders to do that, I didn't even have offensive line as a need. They spent so much money in the free agency last year on shoring up their offensive line. They got the big guy from Kelechi Osemele from the Ravens, and they had some other
great pickup, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they have a solid offensive line, so I don't fully get this one. But we'll see. I don't like this pick at all for Oakland.
So right now on the offensive line, Donald Penn, Kelechi Osemele, like you said, Rodney Hudson, right guard. What was Colton Miller, left tackle?
Yeah.
So that's where Donald Penn currently is slided. Gabe Jackson, Vidal Alexander. I don't know. Do you think that's a solid offensive line?
Yeah, I thought that was one of their strengths on their team. I mean, the needs that I have written down for Oakland are defensive back, wide receiver because they lost Michael Crabtree, and defensive line. That's why I thought the Vita Vea pick was perfect for him. John Gruden getting his Warren Sapp of Oakland. But offensive line, it wasn't anything I was assuming that they were even going to think about going in the first round.
If this 6'8" kid turns out to be something, though, that's a pretty good left side, Dan, Kelechi Osemele and Colton Miller. So we got a trade, and Ryan Thomas, no surprise, is back with us. The Buffalo Bills are moving and shaking again. They have moved up to the 16th pick, traded with the Ravens. So what's going on, RT?
Shake and bake! I'm very excited. I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, could be offensive lineman, could be Calvin Ridley, wide receiver out of Bama. That's what I'm hoping. I want to have a nice new look offense. You got Josh Allen, you can get Calvin Ridley. I would like that. Maybe that's not the direction they're going to go in, but I would like that, to say the least.
Papa Schalk says Tremaine Edmonds here.
That would be nice. They need a linebacker.
We're going to keep calling him.
Here's the thing. If this happens, Josh Allen, my number one quarterback the Bills would get, and Tremaine Edmonds, my number 2 defensive player in the draft, the Bills would get. I'm not a fan. I am not happy right now if this is the case.
But you're just hating, Dan. The Buffalo Bills are doing great things here.
Here's the thing. 3 picks away from the Cowboys. The Cowboys, if Tremaine Edmonds fell to the Cowboys, they have the best linebacking core in the NFL with Sean Lee, Jalen Smith, and Tremaine Edmonds.
He's not getting past Seattle ahead of you. Here we go.
Ravens have traded the 16th pick to the Buffalo Bills. With the 16th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Tremaine Edmonds.
Bang. Papa Schalk. Papa Schalk.
Oh, my God.
Yeah! Yeah, I love it.
It's a good pick. Good pick.
Let's go. Man, I have reason to go to some Bills games this year. Imagine that.
and they're coming off a playoff appearance. So
Right.
this isn't the worst team here.
Is this the 1990s?
Do you want it to be the 90s? Because that didn't turn out great for you. I mean,
Well, not the end, but the beginning was, well, I mean, define good.
hey, make 4 straight Super Bowls. That's
Right.
like the argument with LeBron James that I had on Facebook even today. The dude made 7 straight NBA finals. I don't care how many he won. That's amazing. The Buffalo Bills making 4 straight Super Bowls in a pretty damn good era, too, at that,
Right.
with the 49ers and Cowboys over there in the NFC. But to make in Denver, you battle through John Elway and those guys. But
Dan Marino, twice a year. Dan
to
Marino.
make 4 straight Super Bowls, it's
Right.
incredible.
They had to make the comeback against Warren Moon back in the day with Frank Reich. You know, I mean, I go on and on with that, but I really like this pick. This was my favorite linebacker in this year's draft. 19 years old, going to be 20, I think, by the start of the season, if I'm not mistaken. I might be off on that. But yeah, they really needed a linebacker. They needed a future quarterback. Check one box off, check the other box off. I'm very happy. This is probably the first draft in a while where I'm pretty ecstatic right now.
Now, I didn't see this, and I'm sure it's not much, but what did they give up to move up that far? Just so, what is it, 5 picks or so?
I don't even know what they gave up, to be honest.
Did you
Let
catch
me-
it, Ryan?
Let me see if I can get that.
I didn't catch the details. Surely it wasn't a whole lot.
Let's see here. Let's get some details.
But they're the ones who saw the opportunity. Yeah, I mean, I got to give the Bills credit. They are shaking and baking and making moves this offseason. They're tired of being complacent. They're really doing things. They saw the opening. They made the move to get up, jump up and get Tremaine Edmonds, who we've been saying, when is this guy going to get picked for the last 6 or 7, 8 picks?
Right.
And they made the move.
And my thing is with the Allen pick, and Bills fans can take whatever gripe that they want with it, but my thing with the Allen pick is they didn't trade a first-round pick to go get a quarterback. I think that is something that definitely needs to be, they need to be given a lot of credit. This is Brandon Beane's first NFL draft as a GM, not as an assistant GM, not as a scout. He got who many feel is the highest upside quarterback and the best pure linebacker in the draft. I think that's pretty damn good.
And in combination, I don't know if you caught the details yet, but in combination of moving up in those 2 picks, they probably still gave up less than what they were projected to give up to move up to number 2 in the last several
weeks. In the trade with Baltimore, they gave up the 22nd overall pick, the 65th pick overall, which was a 3rd rounder, and a 154th overall pick. So not bad. I mean,
you give up your 3rd, but man, like you guys are saying, you got your best quarterback prospect and the best linebacker prospect as far as you see it, and a lot of people see it.
Sideline to sideline guy who, in this defense, John McDermott wanted like a Thomas Davis style linebacker, and I think he fits the bill. Pun intended. He fits the bill.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just tell you a little bit about Tremaine Edmonds, just because I watched so much tape of his. I'm such a huge fan, even more so than Josh Allen. This guy is a lock to be successful. Too bad Bo's not on with us right now because he doesn't think he plays football. I mean, he has the size. He has the lateral quickness. He has the instincts. He does not miss tackles. He can rush the passer from the edge, from the middle, delayed blitz and an instant blitz. On top of it all, he has coverage skills, and he's disruptive in every single phase of the game. It was hard for me to find weaknesses in his game, and at 19 years old, that says a lot. He lacks maybe a little bit of patience. He gets some mental lapses in coverage, but overall, I mean, he is a phenomenal football player. In my NFL comp to him, I couldn't even comp him to one guy. I had him a mix between Brian Urlacher and Von Miller, which I think says a lot.
Easily with the Bills defense, with who they have, he's instantaneously, outside of Trey White, on paper, the best player that they have, really. Like, in terms of, like, all-around good. I mean, Micah Hyde's good. Jordan Poyer was solid last year. But, I mean, all around at his position for what he's going to be asked to do in that defense, they really made a solid pick. I actually hugged my friend Eric here when they made that pick in joy, because that's the guy that both Allen and Edmonds were guys that I wrote in like my 5 guys every year that I would want the Bills to get. They got 2 of them already. I highly doubt they'll get the other 3. I think 2 of the other 3 were already drafted, but the other one was the offensive lineman from Arkansas, Frank Ragnow. Yeah, Ragnow.
Yeah, and
But-
which this is a guy, Ragnow, that could be multifaceted for you. He could play center, but they're saying he possibly would move to guard in the NFL. So a solid offensive line. I didn't see him ranked in Dan's offensive line.
I was a little shocked. Not to.
He didn't make the top 5 anyway.
Yeah, I was a little shocked that the Saints. I think they made a little bit of a reach there with Davenport, trading a first-round pick away to with who was it that they made the trade with for Davenport? 14th overall pick. I can't remember.
Saints for the Packers.
Packers.
Packers. Okay. Yeah. I thought that pick was going to be Lamar Jackson. As a fantasy football player, I would have loved it to see Lamar Jackson and Alvin Kamara in the same offense.
Here's the Chargers. Here's the Chargers, guys.
Your kicker. Here's the commission. With the 17th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Derwin James, defensive back, Florida State.
And I was just about to suggest to you guys that maybe we see another defensive back go off the board here.
That one was painful because as a Cowboys fan, I was kind of hoping he would fall 2 picks away from the Cowboys pick. A great pick for the Chargers. They're building a secondary in now LA. They have Hayward. They have Boston at safety. They have some players that they're getting there. I love this Derwin James pick. My comp to him, in case you were wondering, was last year's number 3 overall pick, Jamal Adams, defensive leader. James can play multiple positions. Before the college football season started, Derwin James was my number 1 overall player on my big board. I think he's just a football player, and Chargers fans are going to be happy.
I was going to suggest Josh Jackson, but Derwin James is a pretty heck of a pickup there.
That was the way Tremaine got drafted.
Yeah, Bo's back. Guess what, Bo? You missed the Tremaine Edmonds pick.
Oh, I saw it. I just finally realized that I don't need to have my headphones in and talk to you guys. I can actually let my phone on the charger and talk to you guys.
Yep, that's fine. We got you.
I'm stupid.
Well, we kind of knew that, Bo. You said Tremaine Edmonds couldn't play football, so
Yeah, you got it.
I don't like to say positive things about the Buffalo Bills, but it's I just all
But
positive.
damn.
Buffalo Bills right now.
Hey, as
positives.
a get off the bus first kind of guy, did you see him walk up in his suit? He was bulging out of his suit. That's somebody that'll scare you when you line up across from him. It's just too bad he doesn't know how to play football.
That comes.
Like a
You don't learn everything in college, Bo.
He'll be all right. He'll be cool. You know what? I think Philadelphia. I'm sorry. The Bills have always had a decent linebacking core and have been known for a good linebacker. So I think that tradition will keep up. He'll be fine.
Let's see. Okay, so we're at 6:20 on the clock now, Bo. So it's obviously more than 6 minutes. It seems to me.
so
I think
maybe-
it's like 8 minutes.
8. Okay. I thought they. Back in before you were born, it was like 5 minutes, 4 minutes.
I think it should be 5. That's why we're going to be here till 11 o'clock tonight.
So the Packers have traded up.
The Packers have traded up, so they're sick of
But they traded back up.
Getting their receiver, Calvin Ridley.
That would be a good move for Aaron.
So if everything you guys heard, and I'm just projecting because they lost Jordy Nelson and it's time to get the damn job done with Aaron Rodgers, that I'm saying a wide receiver. But Dan, do you think that's for sure the way they're going, or they got something else in mind here?
No. So my needs that I have for Green Bay is defensive back. First and foremost, they got Kevin King last year. He didn't have a great year. So I can see him getting a Josh Jackson, an Isaiah Oliver, maybe even a Carlton Davis or Mike Hughes, Jair Alexander. So defensive back, it's either defensive back or wide receiver. I don't see him going any other way. Maybe offensive line if they wanted to protect Aaron Rodgers a little bit more, prevent broken collar.
The offensive line came back together at the end of the year last year, though, so I think they're going to be okay on offensive line. Everybody could upgrade, of course, but I think wide receiver, since losing Jordy and Adams is having had a good year last year, and he's probably going to have a good year this year. But yeah, you need somebody who can go deep.
Dallas Goedert. But anyway, they anytime a team moves up like this, they have someone that said, okay, that we love this guy and we're not letting him slip any further. It's time to make our move. So
that far. Right, you're absolutely right.
This is going to be interesting because I really have no idea. I mean, I just assumed wide receiver.
I'm going with Dan and Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, I mean, like Dan said, defensive needs. So we'll see. So Barkley's still the only running back to be chosen so far.
They're all going in the second and third round. They're gonna get picked off like rabbits in an open field. It'll just be crazy.
He was my last pick of the first round in our mock draft. I had him going to Philadelphia. Dan, you slipped him in there higher, didn't you?
Who?
Darius Geis.
Yeah, I actually had him going to Bo's Washington Redskins.
We got Sammy Pirine, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah, you can Pirine all over that. He's a little chubster. He's only going to get
Matt Jones, who if he
Chris Thompson is your guy.
If he learns to hold on to the football, he'll one day get more than 3 yards a rush. So anyway,
I mean, I like Chris Thompson for the Redskins, but Geis to me is a 3-down back, and I think could have been a game changer. So I think you're gonna see him called. You could even see Sonny Michel called.
Did you say he wasn't going to be picked in the second round either?
I think he will. I think, but you could see.
In your article, Sonny's
I did. I had him in the second round. See, Brandon, Bo knows how to not just skim through my articles, but actually read them. Thanks a lot, Brandon.
Well, thanks a lot, Bo. Bo distracted me with all the Russell Westbrook hate today, so I got to type back to that. So I don't want to hear that.
I enjoy how you, after Russell lost that game, you're like, "Hey, I'm not even a Russell fan. I'm just defending him." And then when Russell won the game, you're like, "See how it is."
No, I just had to come back. I didn't watch the game. The game was on NBA TV. I couldn't even watch the game, but I'm just. Come on, guys. Come on. Let's just say his performance last night was better than the bad performance of the loss before.
No,
both teams are lambs to the slaughter. It doesn't matter.
I'm not saying I didn't watch it either because it's hard to watch. Russell Westbrook run around bouncing the ball and then handing the ball to Steve Adams with 2 seconds left to try to get a layup. But in the third quarter, from what the highlights I've seen, he was amazing. But you know what he didn't do in the third quarter? Shoot a 3-pointer.
He did. He dropped like 8 threes. That's how we got 45 points. He was hitting every three.
That was what's his name?
No, Russell. No, Russell. No, Russell hit at least 5 or 6 threes.
And I read the wrong thing then.
Last night, Russell was killing it. He was killing it. He hit 5 or 6 threes, Bo. Right. That's how the comebacks started.
Everything I saw was inside the
Typically, you're right, but last night that wasn't the case. So the Packers pick is in. Let's see.
The 18th pick to the Green Bay Packers. With the 18th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Jair Alexander.
Okay, that was their guy.
Louisville.
So that was their guy. And I had the feeling like he was shooting up some draft boards, Dan.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not mad about that. That's okay.
Yeah, I have him. I mean, he was definitely climbing as the draft neared. I mean, he's an athletic, instinctive corner. What I like the most, what kind of was prevalent the most on tape to me about Alexander is he knows how to read the quarterback's eyes. He doesn't play the man. He plays the ball and he reads the quarterback, so he can diagnose and react quickly.
That's a lot of start.
So, he's got a little bit of a thin frame. I have him comped to Marlon Humphrey, who was a first-round pick of the Ravens last year. So I like the pick. Green Bay needs defense, and they got it.
Yeah, I'm not. It's good, actually.
So here we go, and it's got to be 8 minutes, Bo, because we're at 7:13 here. It just seemed like it was roughly 8 minutes. 8 minutes between pick. That does seem like a lot. But this is going to be the longest 7 minutes of Dan's year right here. It says Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. So all best available, Dan. What's your dream scenario here?
Well, Calvin Ridley's still there. I would like to wait and grab Anthony Miller in the second round, but I wouldn't be surprised. I hope it's not DJ Moore. I'll probably leave and walk off the show if DJ Moore is selected. You still got
tell us why.
But you're thinking receiver?
Yeah, I think so. They have such a need. Basically, the needs that I have for Dallas: wide receiver, defensive line, defensive back, and offensive line.
What about a Jason Witten replacement, Dallas Goedert?
I would like it, but as a first-round pick, I think they have other needs that they can get right away.
Are we even going to see these tight ends taken in this first round?
Yeah, you could see Gesicki, Hayden Hurst, which I think would be a huge mistake. But yeah,
not even in your top 5.
No. I hate Hayden Hurst. I think he's a terrible prospect, but it has nothing to do with him being 26 years old.
Dan, did you see Dez's tweet?
I did not.
He said Dallas should take wide receiver Calvin Ridley.
I'm okay with that. I would be okay with that. There's 3 receivers I would be allowed for the Cowboys to take, and that's Ridley, Anthony Miller, and Courtland Sutton. Those are the only first rounders that I have grades on. First round picks are the receivers. So those are the only 3 I would want.
So out of what Buffalo's done so far, you were saying how they got Josh Allen, obviously, and they got Tremaine Edmonds, who are your number 1 quarterback, your number 1 linebacker. How shocked are you that, according to your rankings, Buffalo's doing pretty well?
Oh, Buffalo's winning the draft right now. They have the best draft out of any NFL team at this moment. So, yeah, I mean, I'll give them props when they do well. They just, I'm 29 years old, turning 30. They have yet to really do anything since I've been past 3. So ever since I've been in puberty, the Bills have been terrible decision makers.
You and me both. You and me both.
The props this year is going.
Right. I think that the Rosen pick to Arizona, like the way the quarterbacks went, they actually fit the teams that picked them. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Mayfield might not be a good example, but Darnold, I think, was right for the Jets. I think Allen was right for the Bills, and I think Rosen was right for the Cardinals. What do you think of that?
Yeah. I mean, the whole Mayfield thing is Mayfield, but yeah, I mean, Darnold, I think he'll shine in the New York media. He's not like Rosen, who won't. So going to Arizona for Rosen, that makes sense. Allen, yeah, I mean, I didn't want him to go to Buffalo, but he's here now, so we'll see how they do with him. Just don't ruin him.
Right, and that's the thing. It's all situational. Like I told everybody that's been blowing my phone up, saying they took Allen. Well, he's in a position now where we like A.J. McCarron on this show. Like we've talked about how we think A.J. McCarron could step in and be a starter for the 2 years that he signed. He starts for 2 years. Allen steps in. By then, you know, if they keep the same coaches around him and are stable, which I think they actually will be, I think he's going to do well. I really do.
Looking good in Buffalo. The Dallas, by the way, we hadn't really mentioned that Dallas is hosting this year's draft, and they are going nuts right now. AT&T Stadium is going nuts.
That is a beautiful stadium, by the way. Like I'm looking at it, like watching the draft, and I'm like, man, that place it's insane how beautiful that stadium is.
It's only going to be outdone when Las Vegas builds their new stadium.
It might be, and I mean Atlanta. Shout out to Atlanta too. They have a cool, you know, the whole scoreboard thing. That's pretty sweet. But I think Dallas is just, I don't know. They do it big in Big D. That's for sure.
So, Dallas Cowboys, we're at pick 19. Over halfway through this thing.
Be here, Dan.
I just don't want it to be DJ Moore. Please do not be DJ Moore. I'll take Calvin Ridley, Anthony Miller, Courtland Sutton. Those are the only receivers I will take. And then give me a defensive back all day. I'll take Josh Jackson, Isaiah Oliver, Carlton Davis. I'll take any of those guys. If you even want to throw me a Rashaan Evans or Harold Landry, I would take that.
I was about to call Rashaan Evans for you.
I mean, I don't. They have other depth needs that they can fill, like offensive line. They will be drafting a couple offensive linemen, I think, in this draft. But you don't want to go for one first round. So I think it's got to be defensive back, defensive line, or receiver.
It's a sweet draft room Jerry Jones has got there.
Jerry's always high profile, high stealing. Whatever. Rick, what was the line that Rick Flair said?
Kiss stealing, wheeling,
dealing, son of a gun,
plane flying, limo riding. Yeah, Jerry looks like definitely the chairman of the board, and everybody else.
Jerry Jones is probably. I mean, he's the owner that everyone would want to have if they were. If he was the owner of like the Titans or the Bills, we'd love him. But
kind of like Bud Adams. Bud Adams wasn't afraid to flip the bird.
That's for sure.
Like what was going on?
That's for sure. Yeah.
Great Bud Adams.
Yeah, but Jerry Jones, I don't know. He's got some moxie. I do admire it to an extent. You have to. That's for sure.
Oh, here we go, Dan. So the pick is in. They've made their decision. This is for 4th or 3rd place in the NFC East this year, guys.
Well, let's see who's going to be joining the Super Bowl champs.
You think Barkley is going to put the Giants in 2nd in the division?
I just don't think the Giants were that far off. I think last year was an anomaly for them. I mean, injuries and Ben McAdoo. I think they're going to be right back up there battling for 2nd or 3rd.
Ben McAdoo, his middle, whatever abbreviation should be POS. That guy was just dirtbag.
Yeah, he proved it through 2 years. It went so far downhill in 2 years that ain't even funny. Far downhill that they had to get rid of him within 2 years.
He was like the Chip Kelly of the Giants, really.
That was horrible.
They better hope that Pat Shurmur is their Doug Peterson or.
You just don't have to screw it up as bad as Ben McAdoo did, because I mean, Tom Coughlin had them floating along and just being steady, bouncing, hovering around the playoffs.
At the time, I know he's like 97 years old, but
looks like we probably got some boys Texas State champs behind them.
Yeah.
The draft is a week-long celebration of football at all levels, and we salute those who play and coach high school football across the country. Joining us for the Cowboys selection are members of 6 high school football teams here in Arlington, Texas. Arlington.
Number 7 looks like your future quarterback there, Dan.
Lamar, Martin, and Sam Houston.
It's a big dude, number 7.
With the 19th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Leighton Vander Esch.
Ooh, Vander Esch.
What does he say?
Oh.
Hey, the crowd seems to like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible pick. I had him as my 4th ranked linebacker. He's still raw. He's got good size, but he doesn't have any. He has 1 or 2 years of experience. He's not really strong yet. He's solid tackler. He's a good cover linebacker.
Did he have neck issues too? He had some sort of neck issue thing. Could be wrong.
That I don't know about.
Yeah,
possible.
Yeah,
but overall, I mean, I don't hate the pick. He might not be playing much as a rookie, but give him time. I mean, I have him comped to Anthony Barr, so Anthony Barr is a really solid linebacker, so I like it. But
he was one of the few guys in our mock drafts, Dan, that we completely disagreed on, which you had him going 2nd to last at New England, and I didn't even have him in the 1st round, and he goes 19 to your Cowboys. What kind of game film is this we're watching of him? Oh, he was playing in an elementary schoolyard. Oh, these are some state champs. Okay. But yeah, anyway, so I was thinking Rashaan Evans, Harold Landry. Would you have been more happy with one of those guys, or is it too close between those 3 to even really matter?
Well, I like it. I like Van Der Esch because he has that cover ability. To me, Evans and Landry really don't. They're more pass rushers, so obviously Dallas might be a little bit more comfortable with that. Van Der Esch is more of a complete linebacker, so I am okay with it. He just might need – he's still a little bit raw, so we might need a couple of years to fully develop into what the type of player he's going to be.
And so what was your comp?
Anthony Barr.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's not bad. Anthony Barr has some solid years.
That's what you want in the first round. Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I am okay with it. It's just going to take some time.
It's going to take some time. How much time do you need, Dan?
Well, I want to win a Super Bowl this year, so
it ain't gonna happen. It ain't happening.
Yeah, it might.
No, it ain't happening.
You guys are strong everywhere. You got maybe one weakness in the secondary, maybe. Other than that, you guys are good. Don't worry about it. I think you're, like I said, at minimum 12 games. I see you guys winning.
So I think that in the way this helps you, Dan, is because I've mentioned this before on the podcast. It seems like your defense goes with Sean Lee. If Sean Lee's hurt, your defense is going to suck. If Sean Lee's on the field, you can hold it together. So maybe this is another sticking point for that defense and a backup for Sean Lee.
Yeah,
mentor, you be a mentor for the kid.
Yeah, I'll take that. Sean Lee can mentor me any day if he wants. I love Sean Lee.
Hey now.
He is what makes the Cowboys defense go. So yeah, I mean, if he goes down, the Cowboys defense goes down. So I do like it, depth in learning from the best.
Detroit is on the clock. So I don't know. You guys fill me in. What does Dan? What does Detroit need? I can't even think of.
I can see Geis. I can see Geis going here.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, they've been such a mess at running back. They've been such a platoon mess since the days of Bush and who was his platoon buddy like 4 years or so ago.
Ahmad?
No, before that, I had both of them.
Joique Bell.
Yeah, I had Bush and Bell both.
You don't hear too often.
Yeah. So they've been such a mess, but to me, they're such a flippity floppity mediocre team. I don't know how else to describe it. They're just kind of cruising along at mediocrity. I guess they're
not mediocre. They're bad. They're just bad.
They're going backwards.
For a long time.
They're going backwards. So, let me just take a look at our mocks real quick. So we'll see who Dan and I had. So Dan had Will Hernandez, guard. He had some trades going on though, so I don't even know what Dan was doing. But I had Colton Miller, who is already obviously off the board.
Yeah, I can see him going offensive line as well here, protect Matt Stafford a little bit better. Let's see what the needs that I have for him. Offensive line, defensive line, tight end, running back. So
your pick of Will Hernandez may actually be accurate. It may just not be to who you thought it was going to be. Maybe the pick is kept by Detroit and it's Will Hernandez.
Yeah, could be.
Isaiah Wynn or Will Hernandez. I don't know. They got many needs. How much more leash is the quarterback going to get there in Detroit? When do we start thinking about making a move off of Stafford, if you're Detroit, or at least maybe trying to get a backup for him?
I think they're going to roll with him until he retires. I mean, he puts up numbers. They don't have many. They don't have a running game around him. They don't protect him the way he should, and their defense has been bad for the majority of his time there. So I like Stafford. I think he's a top 10 quarterback in this league.
I do too. It doesn't seem to be going anywhere, unfortunately, for the Lions. But it's not his fault. But just something to think about. I don't know, because he's not getting any younger. I mean, he's been in the league quite a while now, right? 8, 9? Is he approaching 10 years in the league?
I would think so. Yeah, definitely.
4, 8. So he just signed the new contract, 9 years maybe. But he's got one of the top 2 or 3 arms in the league, maybe 3 arms, top 3 arms in the league. When they moved on from Calvin Johnson, it really shined. He really shined because then he could, instead of having to appease Calvin Johnson, he could start going to Tate or I don't know the team that well, or an open tight end or a guy in the flat, and instead of having to launch it 40 yards down towards Calvin every time, not every time, but a lot. So he really had a good year last year. And they came close to making the playoffs. They were right there. Their defensive struggles and their offensive line struggles are just
Golden Tate,
They've been around.
Golden Tate, Marvin Jones. But they lost their tight end. So we'll see.
Did you see Martavis?
Here we go.
In the 2018 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Frank Ragnow, center.
There we go. Wow. So that was that's fairly high for Ragnow, Dan, you think?
I mean, I had an inkling he was going to go in the first round before any of the other guards like Isaiah Wynn or Will Hernandez. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I had a second round grade on him. J.C. Treader is my comp, so it's not a terrible pick. You're shoring up a need, so I'm okay with that.
We'll see what currently their makeup is. They got Graham Glasgow at center, their left guard Kenny Wiggins, and their right guard TJ Lang.
TJ Lang's okay, yeah.
Yeah, TJ Lang. But as far as Glasgow, Kenny Wiggins, or either of those guys, and I'm not familiar with their offensive line enough, Dan, are any one of those guys replaceable? Or are they both pretty good players, or what, Glasgow and Wiggins?
I think they're replaceable. Glasgow's okay. He came from Michigan a few years ago. Wiggins, I couldn't tell you too much about him, so I would say replaceable.
Left guard, a pretty important position to your team. So, and of course, as you saw, Ragnow, they're playing center for Arkansas, but the word is he'll probably move to guard, or at least have that potential to move to guard. So, not a bad pick. Like we were saying, you got to protect that quarterback, Stafford, especially getting on to his 9th or 10th year in the league. But yeah, their weapons, Golden Tate, Marvin Jones. I wouldn't have been surprised if they did go tight end there. And that would be kind of high right there. But is their tight end core now? Luke Wilson.
Their tight end worth taking there? I mean, I don't think.
I don't know, but I'm looking at their tight end core right now. Luke Wilson and Levine Tolelo.
Luke Wilson's underrated. I think Luke Wilson's a pretty good tight end. Pass catcher.
He's okay. I don't think he's game changing. And,
no.
And he's how long has he been in the league? He's been in the league a minute too. Well, he's 28 years old, so he's been in the league 6 years. But
that's 58 in dog years. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Luke Wilson's not bad, and like you were saying, I'm not sure tight end is worth stretching for right there. But hey, you got to protect that quarterback.
Right before.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right before that pick went down, Martavis Bryant was traded to the Raiders.
Really?
Wow.
3rd round pick.
So this year's 3rd round pick is going to Pittsburgh for Martavis Bryant.
Yep.
No. Yep. Oh, okay.
This year's 3rd.
I think so. I know it's a 3rd round pick. I didn't catch it.
So the Raiders wide receiving core looks like this now. Amari Cooper, Jordy Nelson, Martavis Bryant. And of course you got guys like Seth Roberts. But damn, I guess you got Jordy in the slot and Amari Cooper and Martavis Bryant on the outside. And they just got an offensive lineman. Derek Carr has no reason to fail this year. This is a key year for Derek Carr.
Last year was an aberration, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the injury the year before, and then maybe the coaching or his head coach, because that didn't work out too well at the end, obviously because he was fired. But I think he'll come back and just light it up like he did 2 years ago.
I think he had a little bit harder time struggling coming off that knee injury, whatever happened from the year before.
They always say that the year after your knee. Well, I've got a knee replacement, and I've got this one that doesn't work. But anywho, it takes a year for you to recover, then a year for you to recover mentally.
Mm. Oh yeah, that's a big deal. You got to think about that's why it's so it's so rewarding to see guys like say Paul George, the gruesome injury that he had, because you got to know mentally.
Joint, yeah,
mentally that is so tough to come back from, knowing every time you jump and have to land that could happen again. So I would agree with you there. I don't no reason for Derek Carr to fail.
Holding yourself back because the exact same situation you were in before, you ended up in the hospital. So yeah, it's just.
And so much of football is not on you, especially if you're the quarterback. It's just not on you, and there's just not much you can do to protect yourself in certain situations.
First responders have that problem, like when they get into a situation where there's a lot of trauma, and they have to run in there and they see everything that's going on.
Bengals pick.
The next call they get, or a call they get later on with trauma.
The Cincinnati Bengals select Billy Price, center, Ohio State.
Billy Price. Dan, I don't know if you had a draft prospect on him, but I'm not sure I've ever heard of this dude. He's center Ohio State,
yeah.
but.
Yeah, no, I definitely did have a profile on him. He's a good player. He again, there's some other guys that I think are a little bit better right now, but I mean, I had a second round grade on him. I comped him to Jason Kelsey, who just won a Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Yeah.
Another team obviously trying to protect their quarterback, and another key year for their quarterback and their team.
Do you think the college helps a lot with linemen, even though you got 4 linemen that have all the same measurables? But one goes to Ohio State and one goes to Appalachian State, that the Ohio State guy absolutely gets the nod, even though they're pretty much the same?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a level of competition. Big Ten basketball, or the Big Ten Conference is deep and talented. So, yeah, I definitely think it makes an impact. It's definitely part of the evaluation process when looking at different prospects, definitely.
Because I look at the linemen and the defensive linemen and such and I know it's just the combine, but their measurables, height, weight, bench, jump, long jump and all that stuff, pretty awesome, but pretty almost even. So it's got to be the coaching and the conference, and then we can delve deeper into where you grew up and how you grew up and all this other stuff. But I mean, it's a thin thread between a great tight end and a guy who has everything else that you do, but he didn't grow up poor.
Ohio State just flips out pros like crazy. And they just really do, particularly on the defensive side.
They've been doing it for 30 years. Back in the 80s, Kirk Herbstreit was a quarterback for Ohio State, and they were great then. Yeah.
Even some of the guys that transform into different positions. Like, I think Dan was talking about this the other day. JT Barrett, weren't you talking about JT Barrett and maybe a transformation you'd like to see him have?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's a quarterback at all in the NFL. So, I mean, if he wants to survive, he's probably going to have to make it as a receiver, or just like a wildcat sub package type of guy. But I don't think he's going to have a lengthy NFL career by any means, especially as a quarterback.
Well, the past record of Ohio State quarterbacks has been basically that. You're going to be a quarterback, win a championship, and then become a receiver in the NFL. Terrell Pryor, JT Barrett probably. The Cordell guy, was it Cordell? Who won the national championship for him a couple years ago. He's not going to transition into a wide receiver. Actually, he's out of the league right now, but they take the big guy or the strong guy and the guy that can run on the option, and then spit him out, and that's what happens with college football.
So let me just say this real quick before I forget it. And I just put you guys on notice. I don't know if you guys play Madden, but the Raiders are going to be my new favorite team in Madden. With Marshawn Lynch and Jordy Nelson, now Martavis Bryant additions to that team. That's going to be my new favorite team in Madden. But more importantly, my Tennessee Titans are on the clock, Dan, and I got their pick. I'll go ahead and spoil it for you guys. You guys can skip ahead about 16 minutes. It's going to be Rashaan Evans, Alabama linebacker.
I think you're going to get a Taven Bryan sighting in Tennessee. So it's not going to – the bonehead ex-linebacker as your coach is not going to draft a linebacker, despite their need. You want to know what I have for their needs right now? Tennessee linebacker is number 1, but they're not going to draft one. Safety and a pass rush. So
there's still good players in all those positions on the board.
Oh, yeah. Do you agree with that, Brandon?
So where does Taven Bryan come from?
Pass rush, I guess. I don't know. He's a defensive tackle. He's got the most explosive burst off the snap in the draft, but he doesn't do anything else after that.
Well, yeah, he's nowhere in your top prospects list. I don't want someone who's not in your top prospects list.
I'm not the be-all, end-all.
You mean you didn't tweet this out to John Robinson? God, you had one job.
My bad. No, I mean, Taven Bryan, he's going to go in the first round. If he doesn't go here, I think he's going to go to Atlanta. He's my 4th-ranked defensive tackle. not defensive lineman, but defensive tackle. Second round grade I have on him.
Another guy who's possibly here was a guy they just showed very disappointed in his setting is Josh Jackson. And someone else who I don't know if y'all caught this and during the break or right before the break was Lamar Jackson was looking. Lamar Jackson was actually asleep on the table.
Oh, they have him here?
Yeah, he was asleep on the table with, I assume, his mother.
You have Lamar Jackson in the ready room.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks he's a first-round pick.
He was asleep. Checking his phone, I guess, but he had his head down.
Bosom?
And this is going to be interesting because I don't really know. But yeah, if I had to pick, I'm saying Rashaan Evans for, I don't know, just impact. But
did
With the
Tennessee trade up?
22nd pick in the 2018
no, their
NFL
pick was
draft,
22.
The Tennessee Titans select
No, yeah, they did.
Rashaan Evans.
Booyah! They did trade up, Dan. Yeah, I'm sorry. They did trade up from 25 to 22. They sure did with
They
Buffalo.
got their guy.
Or with whoever Buffalo traded up
From
from.
Alabama Red.
Rashaan Evans. Yep.
He's good. He's
I
good.
like it. I like it. Because like we talked about in the last couple of podcasts, I think you're okay offensively. There's no glaring need that I say, okay, you have to get a first-round pick to be better. I mean, they made the playoffs, but it's defensive now. You have to start looking at defense and beefing up that defense and getting back to a top-notch defense like Tennessee used to be.
And it's not like they got blown away in their defense and in their playoff game either.
They made a comeback against New England, better than I thought they would. And they also had their guard go down. It wasn't Luan, was it, Dan? It was another guy. Anyway, one of their linemen went down too at like halftime or third quarter. So it was just not meant to be. They were just outmatched there. But hey, to make the playoffs from coming from a number 1 and a number 2 pick in the draft 2 consecutive years within to make a playoff appearance within 2 to 3 years of John Robinson's tenure in Tennessee, the dude is doing his job. And I love this pick. Out of everyone left on the board right now, that I would say, like I just said, he was the top name that I mentioned, Rashaan Evans. And I love what he's doing.
Yeah, I like Evans. I mean, I had a first-round grade on him. NFL comp with C.J. Mosley. He lacks some instincts, but he's fast. He has great length, and his blitzing was probably the most dangerous and violent that I saw on film. Just him coming. He has this delayed blitz that he does all the time on tape, and it's insane to watch. I love him.
That's a perfect comparison, C.J. Mosley. That's a very good comparison.
Thank you. Thank you there. And yeah, I think for Tennessee, they needed him, and they went out and got him. And you don't like necessarily their head coaching hire, but it's a pretty good guy to kind of teach any type of linebacker.
It is, and maybe we're going to see a transformation and maybe more of a focus on the defense, which I have no problem with. I was just looking for more of an offensive guy, not a bonehead ex-linebacker to coach his team, because we're in a critical, pivotal moment of Marcus Mariota's career. He's either going to go up or he's either going to go down.
He's
last year
on
was a down year.
Cusp because he's been a turnover machine in the past couple of years, and he needs his confidence. And is Mularkey gone, right?
You're right. Yeah, they hired Mike Vrabel as their new head coach.
You need an offensive coach for your quarterback to pat his butt and get him buttered biscuits in the morning because he needs some help.
Yeah, 13-18 last year. That's not going to get it done.
No.
And, of course, as a fan of the team, I would like to see, kind of a high-powered offense, a fun offense to watch. And we saw –
they got the parts.
Yeah, they really do have the parts. I mean, we saw that last year, especially towards the end of the year in turning over the keys to the car at the running back position and kind of putting DeMarco Murray on the back burner and getting more youthful.
He's still relatively young, and he's still strong, and he's got burst. And then your second running back is a beast. You got what's that? Your wide receiver, the tall guy. I'm starting to sound stupid, but who's your best wide receiver?
Corey Davis?
It's debatable. It's debatable, honestly. It's debatable, honestly, but Corey Davis, as Dan would tell you last year, Rashawn Matthews, but
that's the guy they got from San Diego, right?
Miami.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay. If he gets
Tywan Taylor. Taiwan Taylor, which we're yet to see too, another good rookie. Tajay Sharp, but the keys to the car have been handed over to Derrick Henry, and I would expect to see a lot of Derrick Henry in this next year. And then you add in Dion Lewis, who is a great pass catching back and a second back. So that's why I was saying in Delaney Walker too.
One of the running backs, or
you might have actually been talking about Delaney Walker too, Bo. He's really their top receiver, honestly, probably.
You put it anywhere within 5 feet of him, he'll catch it.
So I like it. I like it. The move had to have been made. I think it was Jack Conklin. I'm looking at their depth chart now. It was Jack Conklin got hurt in that New England game. So hopefully he comes back. I don't think he's going to be ready to start the season, but hopefully he comes back healthy again at some point in the season. So now you add in Rashaan Evans to that linebacking core. Right now you have Wesley Woodward, Jayon Brown, Brian Arakpo, of course, Derek Morgan, then Jarrell Casey, which they got in the last 2 years. So, yeah, I do think that's solid. Malcolm Butler back in the backfield, Jonathan Cyprien. It's turning around. It's turning around. And I'm sorry, I even missed it. They even did move up. They moved up from their original position there at 25 to 22 and traded up. So, but now New England is on the clock.
They're at 23. Did they move up? Or am I just not paying attention?
Tennessee?
No,
we're on track. We're on track now.
We're on track. Okay.
New England got the pick. This was originally from the Rams at 23, and then they'll also pick at 31. So that's what I was saying. But this is a rare year for the Patriots. They got 2 first-round picks.
I don't think that's happened since 1979 or some crap like that.
You may have just made that up, but it sounds right. It doesn't even matter.
Right?
So this is going to be interesting what they do, and I guess they're going to stay pat. But the opportunity for any time the Patriots can get 2 first-round talents, look out. This is going to be a genius.
Traded it away or moved back yet is crazy.
It's kind of what I expected.
After a couple minutes, they're like, okay, New England's made a trade.
Kind of what I expected. So, but either way, Dan, this is probably going to be a genius pick. We don't know. We may not think it tonight, but in the long run, it's probably going to be a genius pick.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Lamar Jackson is the pick here. If they go offensive line, they lost some offensive linemen, obviously, in free agency. There's a lot of good guards still out there. They like to go 2 tight end sets, so they can have their choice of a tight end. We still haven't had
this is about tight end picking time, too, with the draft class of tight ends.
Yep. Man, so the needs that I have for them are offensive line, defensive back. They did lose Malcolm Butler in the offseason, so there's still a lot of good corners out there.
I do like your mention of drafting a tight end, though, but they probably don't have to do it right here, but maybe at 31, because they always worked better with that 2 tight end beast of a system with someone to go along with Gronk, who will play
again.
They'll
take a tight end. They'll take a lineman, a defensive or offensive in the first round. They rarely take running backs or cornerbacks in the first round.
No, that's just not what they do. But could they, Dan? I mean, losing Dion Lewis, could they be the one to go ahead and steal Darius Geis here? Or maybe even Sonny Michel?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't fit in their mold because I think both of those guys are guys you can give it to them three downs every down. But it wouldn't surprise me either. They're getting pure athletes. But I think the pick is coming in.
Which one is the better pass catching back? That's going to be the key.
Well, that's a good question. I don't think either one of them is very good at it.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't utilized in that way. Yeah. I guess it would maybe lean Michelle, but it's possible.
From the team aspect,
with the 23rd pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Isaiah Wynn, tackle, Georgia.
Okay. Well, he's actually a guard, Mr. Knish, but yeah.
He played tackle at Georgia.
Okay, but he was up there. He was up there on your list, Dan. He was your number 2 offensive lineman. So, like we were just saying, probably long run, maybe a genius pick.
Oh, I love this pick. He's versatile. He can play all 5 positions if you need him to along that offensive line.
He can play center and forward.
Oh yeah,
even point guard.
No.
But he'll never be Russell Westbrook.
He's already better than him. Yeah, I like it a lot. That's a good. It's a Patriots pick. He's going to be able to instantly step in and be a starter along that offensive front. That's a good pick for the Bill Belichick and crew.
Yeah, I really think it is. You know, anytime you shore up, and there's your play. What position was Nate Solder? Was he guard or tackle?
Tackle.
Left tackle.
So there you go. You just replaced Nate Solder, got younger, possibly better.
Maybe in a couple years. Unless he's just fantastic that we don't know about. I'll be right back.
Looking for your NFL comp, Dan.
Yeah, my comp to Isaiah Wynn is David DeCastro. A little bit smaller, more compact version.
He's not a real big guy. 6'2", 300, to be honest with you. Put on that front line, even at tackle, was not real big.
Yeah, but he's got great technique. He's fluid in every movement. His burst off the snap is elite. His hands, once they get on you, they're like kind of jaws of life. He's not letting go, and he runs his feet through contact, which you don't see a lot of offensive linemen do that will get drafted on day 2 or day 3. Yeah, he's definitely lean, but he's built like an anchor, and I think he's going to be an instant starter along that offensive front for
just not real tall. It's not even really the bulk. I think it's just maybe the height. The 6'2" is not real huge for that offensive line. But you nailed it, Dan. You said top 25 pick. He went 23.
Yeah. I mean, I was high. I would have taken him over Ragnow of Arkansas and a couple of the other guys. But still first round pick. And he's gonna be a Patriot for a long time.
Got them Carolina Panthers on the clock now at 24. So we're winding our way through this, Dan. We're over two-thirds of the way through it, and you're probably glad because it's 10:40 Eastern time. Why does the thing take so long? Why do we have to have 8 minutes between picks?
I question that all the time now. But Carolina, I'm on the clock. Let's see who I have for needs for the Panthers. I have offensive line and wide receiver. Get some weapons for Cam now that they lost Kelvin Benjamin. Devin Funchess cannot be relied on as a number 1 wide receiver. So I wouldn't. We haven't seen a receiver taken yet. They can still get Calvin Ridley. They have their pick if they want. So I like that. They just inked Greg Olsen to a contract extension, but I wouldn't put tight end out of the question for him either.
That's actually who you mocked.
Yeah, I did. I mocked. This was before the extension happened. Either
way, your reason was that Olsen is getting old. So either way,
and he is getting old, Brandon. So yeah,
so he's getting old, but Jason Witten has got another 4 years.
Yeah, Jason Witten is he can walk on water. I thought about changing my cat's name to Jay Witten once Dez left, but we're going to keep it the cat formerly known as Dez. But the Panthers, they got Christian McCaffrey last year. They've tried to bolster that offense, but still lacking weapons around Cam Newton. So I would like to see a Calvin Ridley pick here.
And I think that works out good. Okay, so Devin Funchess, Torrey Smith. You're really not that deep at really solid talent at wide receiver. You're really not. Torrey Smith is not that guy. You got Jarius Wright. You got Mose Frazier. I think they drafted maybe last year or the year before, young guy. But the way we saw them use Christian McCaffrey now. And in the old vet, and I'm sorry, his name escapes me, Jonathan Stewart is gone. So the way they use Christian McCaffrey now, could they not use a Sonny Michel or maybe even a Darius Geis as that full-time back? Because Christian McCaffrey is not going to be that banger, that full-time guy. So is that out of the question?
No, definitely. I think running back is definitely not out of the question. For me, it's a little weird. You take 2 running backs in back-to-back years in the first round.
Different styles, though.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's true. I would like him to get a more of a Jonathan Stewart type back, maybe with a little bit more meat on his bones. I'm not very high on him, but like a Nick Chubb, one of my favorites, Rashad Penny, I think would be a fantastic choice in Carolina. So maybe a little bit bigger, thicker back like that. Geis can definitely handle a workload. But I think you can get, fill an offensive line position need and maybe get one of those running backs in the second, third round. But just better value, I would say.
Looking to see. Okay, the pick is in. But yeah, so and I was surprised that Christian McCaffrey didn't get as more of the workload last year. They kind of used him sparingly, maybe tried to work his way in. I was really surprised Jonathan Stewart got as much of the workload as he did last year. And then you get rid of Jonathan Stewart, so that's why I don't think a running back is out of the question here at all. But I really think we could see a pivotal skill position player here, such as running back, wide receiver, or tight end, because I think they could use a little bit of help at all positions. The pick is in.
In the 2018 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select DJ Moore.
There you go, Dan.
Favorite, Dan.
Well, we're gonna
There you go. No Calvin Ridley. It's DJ Moore, which you suspected.
Cowboy.
You suspected maybe the first wide receiver drafted, and you're not in love with it at all. But
No,
hey.
I have a
Tell me
third
why.
round.
Tell me why.
I have a third round grade on DJ Moore.
Got some big arms there. Woo!
His catch for production at Maryland. I mean, he racked up some yards, had over 1,000 yards receiving, but a lot of them came on hitches, bubble screens, slants, very simple patterns. He's dangerous after the catch, but
Six foot 210, not a real big guy.
Yep, he doesn't really create a lot of separation. He's not the fastest receiver. He does not win 50-50 balls, so if he's in tight coverage, he's not going to come down with it. And he really hasn't developed his feel for how to catch the ball with someone on him. Most of his catches were with him being open, not anybody on him.
And from the highlights, I'm seeing missed tackles were his biggest plays.
Yep. He's a dangerous catch and run option. That's one of the strengths that I had listed, and he can impact the game in as a returner. So, I wasn't high on him. I can see why some people were, but I didn't have him anywhere near the first round. I had a third round grade. My comp to him was Marvin Jones Jr. So a good player.
Okay.
Good player. But
like
the
the
first
option
wide
on
receiver
the
taken.
Marvin Jones Jr. So are we picking Ridley to go to the Patriots on their last pick? I mean, what's going on? Why is Ridley still on the board?
Baltimore still needs help too, I would say, at the wide receiver position. Another key year for another quarterback who's either going to, on the pot or get off.
They like the
And
speed
Joe
guy to
Flacco.
go deep. So I don't know if Ridley's necessarily the speed guy that goes deep. He's got speed, but he's not a burner.
Yeah, this is true. Maybe you're just looking for overall wide receiver talent. I don't know. They got Michael Crabtree, moving over from Oakland, and then John Brown, and really no one else to speak of.
He's good. He's
not bad.
Pounds.
He's not bad. I just don't know if I'm real confident as him as my number 2 guy. Chris Moore, Brashad Perryman, I don't know. So it's very likely. I think we're getting to the point here. So here's a note that they had on screen just before that pick, ironically. 4 quarterbacks taken in the top 10. That's the quickest of 4 taken in the common draft era. But here's the other one. No wide receiver was taken in the top 20. That's the first time since 2010. So at least 8 years. And then lo and behold, the next pick was a wide receiver finally. And as Dan mentioned earlier, the Raiders acquired Martavis Bryant from the Steelers. Or Steelers received the 3rd round pick. So just some updates there on the draft so far. It's a 25th pick. Baltimore is on the clock.
Well, the scuttlebutt was that it wasn't a really strong receiver draft, right?
Right.
I honestly, no. I mean, are you really, really in love with even Calvin Ridley?
No, he's smallish. I mean, in today's NFL, he's smallish. He's a 4.46 guy. Leadership skills, intangibles, 100%.
Well, and DJ Moore was a smallish guy too. And then my guy, the only reason I'm really even interested in this wide receiver class was Anthony Miller is a smallish guy. Just he has a work ethic like you wouldn't believe. And best case scenario, he could be the Antonio Brown who Dan is comped to. So I just love Anthony Miller.
Now you're talking small guys because Antonio's like 5'9".
Probably real. Yeah. What do they even list him as?
What
Dan?
is Anthony Miller at?
Yeah, Anthony. Anthony, I don't. What do they list him at, Dan? He probably is like 5'9", 5'10", really too.
Very simple. They list him at 5'11", 190.
So he's probably 5'9", 180. But
at minimum, yeah.
Yeah, but incredible work ethic, and dude is just—he's just a winner. He is just that guy. And, it's cliche to say, but he is a winner. And I'd like to see him. But you're right, as far as the draft class goes, there's not that 6'4" beast of a guy this year. There's just not.
which is it just seems like that's been the soup du jour for the NFL for the past 8 years. That you find there's some 6'5" guy who runs a 4.3, and he doesn't maybe have he's not honed, but a team picks him in the first 5 because he's 6'5" and runs a 4.3. I haven't seen that this year.
Cortland Sutton, maybe that guy, 6'3", 218. All right, Dan. I mean,
he might have the size. He definitely doesn't have the speed for it. He's not
comp to Michael Crabtree. You have him pretty high in your ranking as wide receivers. So what is he, 3, 4?
Yeah, he's my technically third.
So you got a tie. Yeah. Dan throwing in wrinkles again. This is actually Calvin Ridley and Anthony Miller. I appreciate you for showing Anthony Miller so much love over the last year and a half.
He deserves it, man. I mean, it's on tape. I'm surprised not many people are higher on him. And I mean, when I watch him play, when I watched his tape, and if you watch Antonio Brown in college at that same age, they're very similar players. So I think obviously he's going to have to work at it, but I don't think that's going to be a problem, as you had alluded to. I mean, his work ethic, he came on as a walk-on, and look what he's been able to do. So exactly. I'm a big fan of Anthony Miller.
And battle.
I watch the talking heads on the sports channels. I don't really listen to them, but I watch them. And Anthony Miller's name has been but a whisper at that. So that might be a skill.
Battling through. I think he will be second round. I really do. If he falls very far in the second round, I really think he should not be any further than 5th or 6th wide receiver taken. If so, that's a travesty. But battling through some injuries.
Lucky to get him, huh?
I really think so. I mean, Dan's comparing him to Antonio Brown, which is the best player in the game probably right now outside of Tom Brady.
I think he's better than. I think as a receiver, Antonio Brown's better than Odell Beckham. He's just able to adjust his body in the air better. He
overall skill set. Yeah, overall, and plus he's a kick returner. And he's a small dude too. He's 5'11" at best. He's not 6 foot.
Off-field issues. I mean, doing the Facebook thing and the locker room and all that. So whatever. But on the field. What was it last? It was I think it was against the Patriots this year. He just made that impossible catch at the end of the half, and I was like, "What? How do you make that catch for a touchdown?" It's that catch.
He surprised me this year because I was the one going into the fantasy drafts that says that this is the year Antonio Brown is slipping, guys. The people talking about drafting him 1, 2, 3 in your fantasy drafts are crazy because this cannot continue. Plus, he hasn't been hurt yet, which is unheard of too. And he was right there again, same high level, even with an aging quarterback.
Well, anybody that takes a receiver 1, 2, or 3 is a little nuts in my book, anyways.
I've done it before. ODB #1, and I won the championship that year, Bo. So,
but it wasn't
with the worst ODB. Team. You won it with the worst team, Bo. Don't.
Hey, but it was strictly because of Odell Beckham Jr. in the last 3 weeks of the season.
3 weeks. That's what I was going to say. Our championship season is the last 3 weeks of regular season when some teams give up and other teams try really hard. And all of a sudden
it was the last 3 weeks of the season. He beasted out the last 3 weeks of the season. Here's what the Ravens are doing.
Lamar Jackson here, maybe? Lamar Jackson?
2018 NFL Draft. The Baltimore Ravens select Hayden Hurst.
There you go, Dan.
Oh, there goes the tight end.
There you go, Dan. Woo! And even Hayden Hurst is surprised. Hayden Hurst, get off your phone. You just been selected to the NFL draft, kid. Wow. So he did not make Dan. Okay, and keep in mind, this is the tight end list, and he didn't even make Dan's top 5 of tight end prospects. You were wrong, Dan. He was the first tight end taken.
Yeah. Well, he's 25 years old. He played baseball first, so he got a late start. So, his ceiling is only so high. You know what he is. He's solid in the receiving game. He's a willing blocker. Doesn't mean he's a good blocker, but he's willing. He's athletic. He's got nice size, but he's 6'5", 250. So, I definitely like his size, but his route running.
He hasn't done one thing wrong yet.
His route running is terrible. He struggles against larger, powerful linemen to actually block them off. His footwork as a blocker is terrible. And
how many blocking tight ends get drafted in the first round? He's there to catch passes.
Well, yeah, that's true. He can catch, but he just can't run a proper route to get open. So,
well, maybe Des will teach him.
As the first tight end, I do not like it.
But he was 1 or 2 in all the consensus mocks as far
Not
as
mine.
drafts. I know, I realize that, but I'm talking about everybody else, Dan. Dallas Goedert, Hayden Hurst. Those are the guys.
I think Dan's words were something like, "Can we stop with the Hayden Hurst?" Wasn't that what you put in your article? 25 things that,
Yeah.
and you threw that in there. Can we stop
Uh-huh.
with Hayden Hurst?
Yep. I said stop mocking Hayden Hurst.
Yeah.
But he will go in the first round.
That's
Yeah.
what
Yep. Then it happened. Don't like it. They have Max Williams, who I think is already a better player than Hayden Hurst, and he's younger. He's been in the league for 3 years.
Doesn't matter. It's the first tight end they have drafted since Todd Heap in 2001. Todd Heap turned out to be a pretty good.
He was a.
That's not true. That's not it. They drafted Max Williams 2 years ago.
Oh.
Second Ravens tight end
a
drafted.
Hall of Famer.
Okay.
What?
Second tight end Ravens drafted first
No.
first round. Second. Okay. Second since 2001, which was Todd Heap.
Why did the Falcons have a band?
Dan, oh, man, I don't know. If Anthony Miller doesn't go in this first round, I'm going to take this shirt off at the end of the podcast.
Oh, everybody thinks Lamar Jackson's going to Atlanta because of Michael Vick. Is that what this whole hype is about?
Oh, yeah, but I don't see that need for Atlanta. If you want to get back to the Super Bowl, you're not going to do it by drafting another quarterback because Matt Ryan ain't going nowhere anytime soon. That'd be a waste to me. That's my opinion, but that'd be a waste.
No. I mean, he's so young. Yeah, I mean, we're talking. He's got unless he has a catastrophic. God bless he doesn't injury. He's got at least 10 years, at least.
Well, let me get Dan's take on here. So, what do you have the Atlanta Falcons needs?
Atlanta's needs are defensive tackle and offensive line.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I don't see it being a skill set position player. I think you're okay there. You need to go back and look at what fell apart this past year. The defense really didn't hold up, and the offensive line definitely didn't play as good as they did the year before. The year before is the reason they were in the Super Bowl because that offensive line was like 1 or 2 in the NFL.
I'll be gone shortly. The weird thing was, and I don't know why this pops in my head, but the 5 best games that Julio Jones had, they lost all 5. So I don't know what that equals. Maybe they should have done. I don't know. It's just weird that, and he had like almost no touchdowns this year.
It's defense giving up games late, just would not being able to stop anybody in the fourth quarter. Here we go. Oh shit! I turned my TV off, guys. Sorry. I pressed the wrong button. It's getting late in the draft.
Yeah, you guys are East Coast crap.
You guys are going to have to tell me who they drafted.
I just lost my TV signal. What's going on here?
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley. Why do they need Calvin Ridley?
Wow. That's good. That's going to make a nice duo, though.
Hey, I don't hate that at all. That's scary. That's some scary stuff there.
But because they let go of Marvin Jones, now they got to have Calvin Ridley to rebuild their Super Bowl team?
Where did Julio play college? Was he Georgia?
Alabama. No, he played.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Woo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Calvin Ridley's. I think he's the best, most polished route runner in the draft. He reminds me, in my comp to him, is Marvin Harrison. He's got great hands. He's got great yard after catch.
Not that big, but yeah.
And just the way he kind of moves and runs his route tree that just reminds me of Marvin Harrison.
Knows where to be open, where to run to be open. Yeah, I get that. I get that a lot.
Yeah, and now that you have Julio Jones on the opposite side of you, you're going to have single coverage. I love this pick for Atlanta.
I think Atlanta is ecstatic that Calvin Ridley just fell to them. I think they were they had their fingers crossed for about 8 picks now. Yeah, this is not bad. And then also, you still got Sanu, which is, he's not bad.
Yeah, he's okay.
He's not bad. I mean, he's definitely a weapon. He picked it up in some games, which they were doubling on Julio this year. He had some big games. He definitely provided some fantasy value off and on. So that's not bad for Atlanta. That is definitely not bad for Atlanta. You got
I want to know why they have a ban.
The Tide duo. Hey, when you build a new stadium like that, you add a lot of creature comforts.
Hey, how about putting in a Chick-fil-A when they're closed on Sundays? Yeah, that makes sense.
Now that wasn't thought out at all.
Not at all.
But yeah, I mean, I guess it's company policy or whatever. But if I'm Chick-fil-A, I'm breaking company policy. I'm selling chicken sandwiches on Sunday in the Falcons stadium. I am just whatever, or else I'm not agreeing to take that deal. You know when the hell NFL games are played? What the hell? That's silly. That was silliness.
It doesn't make any sense.
But yeah, whoa, that's a pretty good steal to me. If Calvin really turns out to be that guy, that's scary good for Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is the one right now who is jumping up and down.
Yeah, you know what? Like you said, with the three main core there, with Sanu and Ridley and then Jones, yeah, and their tight end is pretty decent.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. Austin Hooper came along.
Yeah,
came along last year. He had huge games last year.
Yeah. So, Dan, Seahawks, besides offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, cornerback, and coach, what are their needs?
Harold Landry will be their pick. Josh Jackson.
Rush and offensive line is their pick. I think Will Hernandez is still out there. I think he would do great to actually. I mean, Russell Wilson ran for his life last year.
Literally.
Yeah. So if they can get somebody to protect him, a lot of good defensive backs still out there. Like you said, Harold Landry, solid edge rusher. So I think he has a chance.
Will Hernandez is out there for your offensive line.
Taven Bryan is a sneaky pick here as well. Last year, the Seahawks drafted Malik McDowell out of Michigan State. And I don't even think he's on the team anymore. And he's just so bad. He comped him, and he's terrible. Terrible pick. And so they're going to need to recoup some defensive line help to get back to that defense that made him so successful.
So here's I'll give you 4 names. This is going to be the Seattle Seahawks pick. Will Hernandez. I'm saying I like Harold Landry, Josh Jackson, or Justin Reed. One of those 4 names.
Hernandez.
That may make more sense, but Seattle, what they do is defense. And I think they got some pieces to replace now, but they probably need to replace Russell Wilson because without a stout offensive line, Russell Wilson is very susceptible to not being very good, as we saw. He runs for his life, as you guys said. That's my call. One of those 4 guys for Seattle. We're at 27. We got 6 picks left, guys, in the first round.
6.
Yep.
There's 33 picks?
They're 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32.
Great. Okay. So there's 5 picks.
Hey, and I'm the one that failed college algebra 3 times, guys. Okay? But I was great at simple math. 27.
Now the question is, do we want DDT to come on? DDT's reaching out.
Well, what did he say? DDT, I mean, he had a great first 15 minutes of the draft, but I mean the Jets. The Jets got another pick? The Jets don't have another pick. The Jets don't have another pick.
No, maybe he just wants to give us some feedback on Sam Darnold.
Hey,
who knows?
DDT can come on anytime because I'm getting a little tired of talking anyway.
Love you. Talk.
So I don't know. Seattle's thinking about this. There's been a lot of picks that have been decided with 3 minutes or more left on the clock. Seattle's really thinking about this. They got some stuff to ponder.
I'm sorry I didn't pay attention earlier. Did they trade back once already, Seattle?
Yeah, they had to have because they didn't have the 27th pick.
Yeah, they were originally ahead of Dallas at 18.
They might just try to pick up more picks here too. That's what usually, this
but
everybody knows who they want.
But they need to start getting some talent, though, because Seattle is not on that cusp like I thought the Giants were of just turning it right back on next season. I think Seattle's got a lot more work to do than they think they need to do.
A center and a left tackle, even though that sounds simpler than it is. A center and a left tackle they can find those two just right this year. It's a start.
Well, there's DDT. Looks like he's walking. He's
Hi, everybody.
He's in the night sky.
Well, I just got off work, but I didn't want to leave without jumping on, so I figured I'd get you guys in my schedule. What's going on?
Oh, just a draft, man. Just a draft. You got to be pretty happy though. What's going on?
I'm actually pretty happy. I was kind of hoping we would get Josh Allen just because I don't know why. I just had more of a better feeling about him, but I think Sam Darnold is probably my second choice, and so I'm not exactly dismayed or anything. I'm pretty excited. I think he's got all the skills and the assets. I think he's got a lot of talent around him because the front office has done an excellent job picking people up. So I say just throw him in there. Let's see what we got. I'm pretty excited.
Yep, I think you should be. And I'm excited that we're giving the people at home so much right here. Now we're having guys literally walking the streets of New York. So there you go.
Hey, you know how it is, man. I had to come on because I haven't been on with you guys in months because I've changed my work schedule. So the most I could do is just keep writing those stupid top 5 articles that you guys just love to read so much. So
how would you have felt if you got Baker Mayfield?
I would have thrown up. I would have thrown up.
Good.
I would have thrown up and probably quit my job that day and gone into a 6-month recluse.
And that's the Jets at 3, but Cleveland did it at 1. That's how the Jets feel at 3, but Cleveland did it at 1. Here we go. Here's the Seahawks.
2018 draft. The Seattle Seahawks select Rashad Penny, running back, San Diego State.
Okay, I know Dan was high on this guy, Rashad Penny, but that's a surprise to me.
So Rashad Penny's going to be left guard? What?
Well, I mean,
they needed running backs though.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, you should have seen New Breed's fantasy team last year. He had every third-string Seattle running back you could imagine on to try and get him some points, and it just didn't work out too well for him. So for Seattle, it does make sense. They don't have an offensive line, but I love Penny. He was my second-ranked running back, behind the tie of Barkley and Geis. I like Penny a lot. Complete back, 3 downs. Impact in the receiving game, and obviously running the football.
I don't know. I don't know if that was their most needed position because I think there's some other things that would have helped.
Left guard, it's a waste of a pick.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it matters who plays quarterback or running back for you if you don't fill in some of these other gaps, which was your glaring weaknesses last year.
But the thing is, though,
is
Seattle any good though? But can Seattle even compete in that division? So
they were 9-7 last year, which I thought honestly, I thought they were even worse than that, but they were 9-7 last year.
I think Dylan's right. That division is going to be one of the best divisions in football.
But they can't compete in that division. I don't think they have. I mean, I understand why they went running back because they want to get more offensive talent. Because if you take a look at where they are, you have the 49ers with now a good quarterback. The Rams are off the charts going to be scoring points. I don't think Arizona will slow down with Josh Rosen. Maybe they will take a step back because they have to develop him. But Seattle is definitely the 4th worst team in the division. And that's crazy to say that even with Garoppolo at the 49ers, and they were the worst team in the division, arguably.
The Cardinals are the ones I'm concerned about. The 49ers will be there. The Cardinals are the ones I think will be the worst team in the division.
I think the Cardinals will be better than Seattle. They still got more pieces to put together. I don't see it.
So I'm looking for
that's why they picked a running back in their first round pick. So because
they're an offensive team, they always have it. That's how Pete Carroll thinks.
No, he's a defensive coach.
I know, but look at who he's drafted though over the last few years, and look how he's put more emphasis. I mean, look at defensively. Seahawks are probably one of the worst ranked teams, and they used to be the Legion of Boom. They're like the Legion of Doom.
Seattle's run game was ranked 23rd in the NFL last year.
They need help.
The offensive line.
Right. I don't think it was the running back cores. I think it was the offensive line.
And it's their mistake to trade down as well, because look at all the offensive linemen that were taken in the first round. They had an opportunity to grab someone decent, but really they took a gamble on running backs. So maybe
this is not a knock.
Offensive route.
This is not a knock on Rashard Penny, who Dan basically had number 2. this is a knock on the decision making from me for Seattle. Right now, I think they're the ones losing this draft. This may be the worst pick of the draft to me so far, with so much opportunity out there. I don't think this improves your team. And like we were just saying, the improvement that's going to be going on in the NFC West.
You know what? Denzel Ward at number 4 by Cleveland was my vote, because the Baker Mayfield thing is just I can't wrap my head around it. But
let's forget that. They thought
this running back, when you could have got a center or a tackle or a guard or a defensive lineman to replace the one you traded away or left for free agency, whatever you lost, you could have gotten in the first round. You take a running back.
Yeah. Cleveland had opportunities there and choices to make. It's hard to make when you have choices. I think they made the wrong one to Baker Mayfield, and like you said, Denzel Ward. I don't know. We'll see. But they had so many opportunities. It's more the picks get easier the later you go in the first round. To me, honestly, in Seattle, they should have been more aware of what they needed. To me, in my opinion, I don't know. I just don't like this.
Their mistake was trading down. They should never have traded down. They should have stayed where they were.
You could have done.
They were like 12 or 13.
They were in the
right?
top 20. I thought they had number.
You
18.
could have done what Tennessee did and got a Dion Lewis in free agency if you were really concerned about this, and be content and then build your team through the draft. This is not an impact
draft. There's like 15 running backs that are not 15. I'm exaggerating, but there's a lot of really good running backs that are still going to be there in the second round that you have picks for. Taking it in the first round, I mean, unless this guy can fly, literally fly, he's not worth the pick.
Well, and so now that we're at pick 28, there's going to be some guys. These guys are going to fall to the second round, at least a couple of them. Darius Geis, Philip Lindsay, Sonny Michel, Kerryon Johnson, and another guy, Dan is high on Ito Smith. 3 of those guys are going to fall to the second round. I think those are solid guys.
Nick Chubb.
And Nick Chubb, yes, Nick Chubb.
How is he still on the board?
Yeah, I don't know.
How is he still on the board? I don't understand that at all.
Here we go. Here's Pittsburgh.
Where they go right now. Here's the commissioner. We have a very special moment to make the announcement of the Pittsburgh Steelers selection. We are honored to have with us an extraordinary man who continues
Ryan
to amaze
Shazier.
us with his unyielding determination and his unwavering spirit. We are so proud of him, and he inspires us all. Please welcome, joined by his fiancée Michelle, Ryan Shazier.
Yeah.
What a guy.
It's really kind of remarkable. You look at this guy, you see him struggling, but it's really remarkable from where he has come in the what has this been, 3 months?
It's like 3.5 months since the injury. He'll be back too.
And with the 28th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Terrell Edmonds.
Terrell Edmonds, safety from Virginia.
Oh my God!
What?
That is a terrible pick.
What?
I had a day 3 grade on him. It's Tremaine's brother, Tremaine Edmonds from Virginia Tech, the linebacker.
Right, this is his brother.
Yeah, that's
right?
why I kept getting their names mixed up.
Hey, he was in the green room. He thought he was going to get called. He was in the green room.
I mean,
Why
this
would they
is
take him?
this
Why would they
this.
take him?
I still say
You could have
Lamar
gone Lamar
Jackson would've been
Jackson then.
perfect for the
You might as well just taken a quarterback.
There was a lot of talent out there. Let's just face it, guys. I'm not really familiar with this guy. He's a safety, but
Yeah, I didn't even remotely think he was going to come close to getting drafted.
Man, I think I remember reading this pro. Did you even write a profile on this guy?
I did not too long ago because he was he was down on my list. He's got some impressiveness in his game. He's a leader. He has the size and cover talent to be able to match up with tight ends. But he's a terrible tackler. He takes inconsistent angles to the ball. His pursuit speed is a little lacking. And in coverage, he doesn't work his way back to the ball. He doesn't look for the ball. He plays directly the man. So this is definitely a surprise and probably, honestly, the worst pick of the first round, without a doubt.
I thought Seattle had it, but Pittsburgh may have just won the title from Seattle.
Yeah,
I mean, sure Cleveland didn't win that?
Wow.
So Saron O'Neal, Justin Reed, Armani Watts, just some of the guys that I think.
Justin Reed, great.
I had Justin Reed pretty high. I had him going in the first round, fairly high to Carolina, actually, with the 24th pick. Yet to hear his name called.
Yeah, this is like the Chicago Bears of last year moving up one pick for Mitch Trubisky. This is just, it doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know. I still think Cleveland with the Baker Mayfield definitely tops the list of head scratchers.
Oh, that's a whole entity by itself. That's a city in the clouds kind of thing. Yeah.
I don't understand where they're going. Like, if they wanted Baker Mayfield, why did they just trade back and just grab more picks in the second and third round? I don't get that. I'm so confused. Like, I don't know what's going on in this draft. The only picks I understand have been the very few in the top 5 and maybe a couple in the top 20. But other than that, I don't know what's going on.
Anytime you have a projected field of 7, 8 solid quarterbacks that could get drafted potentially in the first round, you're going to see some fluctuation and some craziness.
Well, I don't know who I'm going to pick for fantasy now. I don't even know who to pick now. I know. Brandon's definitely getting that guy from Seattle though. I could scratch that off my list of picks. Brandon.
I got a whole new strategy for this year. Whole new strategy.
Did it actually win?
Hey, we've played 2 seasons. I got 1 title. We played 2 seasons. I got 1 title. How many you got?
1.
Okay.
2 championship appearances though.
No. What's funny is I've yet to win NBA glory, and Dan has yet to win MLB glory. That's what's funny.
Hilarious.
I'm struggling in MLB right now.
Orlando is about to win the MyFantasySportsTalk.com Fantasy League. Shout out last place Lando, no longer last place Lando. DDT. Orlando's 4-0 in our fantasy league, number 1.
I know. And I'm really upset about it, too, because I really thought I picked, like, a good team, even though I got distracted and missed some picks.
You do have a good team.
Cut out.
Yeah, I think you do have a good team.
But I have a great team. It's just I'm 1-2 right now. It's I can't get any outfielders to get any hits. I'm struggling for outfield help. That's why I'm, like, trying to figure out who I want to trade. But every time I start looking through teams, I'm just like, I don't know. I might have to give up somebody good for them, and I don't want to give up anybody.
That's the thing. The Purtons, shout out Nick and Judy Purtons, are proposing trades like crazy. Okay, can I just tell y'all guys what I told Dan today? I don't know, Nick and Judy. It's too early for me to analyze this stuff. Stop proposing trades to me because I just don't know. I don't know what's good and bad yet. I'm not looking to shake up my team like that yet. Maybe I should be, but I'm just not.
Yeah, I just can't get over
I think the biggest thing is we have to,
I can't get over the Steelers picking a guy I had a 4th round grade on in the first round.
Ooh.
It's just,
Ooh,
I don't know. I don't get that. His brother all day, but Terrell, it doesn't make much sense. And now the Jaguars are on the clock, and they can go a multitude of ways. I have tight end as a big need. I still even have defensive back. They have a great secondary, but they can add some depth to that. They can go anywhere. I can even see them taking Lamar Jackson if they wanted to, if they're not sold on Blake Bortles.
They might take Lamar Jackson as a safety net and maybe trade Bortles if he doesn't pan out.
Well, here we go.
Let's find out together. With the 29th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Taven Bryan, defensive tackle.
Okay. Okay.
Be who you are, baby. GM Devin Caldwell likes to build on that.
There you go. What do we think?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. I had a 2nd round grade on him. We're getting towards the end of round 1. I had mentioned a little bit of Taven Bryan earlier, the most explosive get off the snap of any of the defensive linemen in the draft, but he's still very raw. He knows how to use that explosive first step but he doesn't do anything after that. He doesn't have a variety of pass rush moves. He doesn't have the block shedding capability. He drops his head and loses the ball too much. And he can't really diagnose plays or blocking schemes in front of him. But he's an athlete. And just like the Jaguars did a few years ago with Dante Fowler Jr., they took him when he was raw. It took him a little bit, but you saw this season he was starting to finally put it together. And it's going to take a couple years, but Taven Bryan can be an elite defensive tackle in the NFL, no doubt.
That's a good pick.
Solid. See what happens. See what happens. It's not a bad pick.
Well, it's just like every other time I hear about the Jaguars, I just think I don't care.
we better start caring now because I mean, and I'm not trying to put a fire under them. I mean, beating Buffalo by a couple of points is not exactly impressive, but you did take it all the way to the AFC Championship game. I mean,
they look real impressive against Pittsburgh, though.
Oh my goodness, they shut out Pittsburgh. As far as I'm concerned, the way they played the game.
Yes.
I think Jaguars can definitely take a hold of that division for maybe for a season or two, but I think Indianapolis with the amount of picks they have to do some damage.
I'll give you one reason why they won't. His last name is Bortles.
I wouldn't give up on him yet.
I think if you play that game 9 more times, the Pittsburgh Steelers win that at least 8. I think that was just a freak thing. The explosion of offense by aforementioned Blake Bortles and the Jaguars, it just something was not right about that. So
you know what? I take that back. You know what? Because maybe this one good playoff run, but the only good playoff run, maybe it will instill confidence. Because from my articles, I'm a big believer in the mentality, the subconscious side of sports, and maybe he won't throw those soul-crushing interceptions, and maybe he'll just tuck the ball and run like he did against the Pittsburgh. And who knows?
Well, I was looking at our mock drafts, and Dan, I had Taven Bryan going in the first round. You did not, so score 1 for me.
You didn't even know who he was 15 minutes ago.
No, honestly, I didn't even know. Honestly, I didn't even know he was white.
Yeah,
I really didn't. I really didn't.
Oh my god!
I really didn't.
God, I love you, Brandon. Well, you don't even know guys at this team. That's not a good doing.
I'm not looking at profile pics. I'm looking at stats and size and.
I care about the numbers. I'm
not looking at game film on alignment.
I'm Mel Kiper.
I'm not looking at game film on alignment. Okay.
I actually am not gonna lie. The guy the Cowboys pick, I thought he was black by the name. I was like, oh wait, okay.
The Cowboys pick
because it's the name. Well, whoever they picked, what was his name?
Leighton Vander Esch.
You knew Vander Esch.
You knew Leighton Vander Esch was white.
I didn't honestly. It sounded like something crafty out of a.
Here we go. Here's Vikings. I'm sorry. We missed it. Mike Hughes. Hey, Mike Hughes. Not bad. Mike Hughes.
Okay.
As Memphis well knows that Dan likes to point out.
Here we go.
Mike Hughes, Central Florida. That was your Vikings pick. So going to continue to beef up that D.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Mike Hughes fan.
Better beat up that quarterback.
I thought he should have stayed in school another year. Surprised he kind of came out this year. I had a 3rd-round grade on him. He has the potential. But I like some other corners that are out there, Isaiah Oliver, Josh Jackson, just to name a few that I had ranked above.
Josh Jackson's got to be.
Josh Jackson was the guy I thought they were going to probably take. Here.
Josh Jackson, okay, so he's the one that they showed in the green room, really disappointed. Or he's not in the green room, at home, wherever he was, very disappointed, kind of one of those guys like, when the hell is this going to happen? He was also ranked as Dan's #1 cornerback. He is still out there. The Patriots are on the board before the Philadelphia Eagles pick. We got 2 picks left, guys.
Well, that would be a great pick for the Patriots.
Lamar Jackson's not getting picked in this round. I know that much.
And Darius Geis.
Yeah, that's a surprise. That only one running. Oh no, Penny. Penny was the second running back.
Penny was
so I had Sonny Michel and Darius Geis going to the Patriots and Eagles to finish out this first round.
You guys a question? Why is it Sonny and not Sony?
There's a trademark. PlayStation got it first.
What is his name?
Why is it Michelle and not Mikel?
I don't know, Brandon.
Just things to think about, you know.
This
But
is
here
an
we are,
interesting
last two picks of
conversation.
this draft.
So is Lamar Jackson going to the Patriots or not?
No,
Okay,
no.
that's one.
I honestly think he'll actually. Honestly, I think he's going to Indianapolis because they have 2 picks in the early second round where they can afford to use a quarterback if they don't feel confident in Andrew Luck. I kind of feel like
That's what I was saying earlier. Great point, DDT. Because if Andrew Luck is barely throwing balls right now, you got to worry about his health.
Might want to get some of that money back too. You paid him. You might want to sit down with him and have a little contract buyout because. I mean, I'm not trying to say Andrew Luck's washed up and done. I certainly think he can get back.
No, he's on the cusp of being a bust. He is.
I wouldn't call him a bust because before the injury, he
was
one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL.
Considered what the Colts have done, though, yes, bust. Considered the success the Colts have had. Not necessarily his personal success, but what he has brought to the Colts. Yeah.
You take somebody to an AFC Championship game. I mean, I'm not going to call that a bust. I just call that bad luck. Pun intended.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, though. I mean, well, no, it's not. Because Jamarcus Russell was a complete bust.
Well, and they also had no defense around him. And Indianapolis refuses to get a running game. They never have.
Remember that guy who had the greased back hair and wore sunglasses all the time, the GM dude, who was good friends with
Jim
the
Irsay?
owner?
Jim
yeah,
Irsay?
Irsay was the owner, and then they had the GM who looked like he was trying to get into a club at 3 o'clock.
Ryan Grigson, yeah.
Ryan Grigson.
Yeah. All he cared about was looking good and how getting star players, and never drafted an offensive lineman, not one time.
Not since then. What's that name? Anthony Costanzo or something like that was what the guy they got with Andrew Luck was the last time they picked one up. Second round.
And the man had a spleen issue. He got hit so hard his spleen broke.
That's never good.
That hurts.
No, not. I mean, I'm thinking, yeah, that's probably when you want to take some time off.
I'd take Lamar Jackson off that board, man. I would just, if he's going to go to Indianapolis, he'll have. I know he's not going to have a great team around him, but at least he'll get reps.
So
you know what? Indianapolis is starting to do it right now. I mean, they're starting to do it right, now. So
the Patriots are on the clock. Their pick is in. They went with Isaiah Wynn from Georgia, offensive lineman in the first with the first pick. Now I'm thinking they steal that running back or possibly one of those tight ends.
They'll never take a running back in the first round.
Who does Indianapolis have at tight end right now?
But how often do they have 2 first-round picks? That's the thing. They almost have a pick to gamble on. They got like a free pick this year. They never have 2 first-round picks.
So this is their free pick, and they're going to take Lamar Jackson?
Oh no!
No! Save that to the second round. I
don't think you worry about Lamar Jackson. I think when the time comes, you sign you a free agent quarterback, or maybe draft one at that time. I don't think they're worried about quarterback right now.
Who's the next quarterback you have ranked after Lamar Jackson, Dan?
Mason Rudolph or Lamar Jackson.
Mason Rudolph, would he be like an Andrew Luck type, or would he not be the?
No, I have him comp to Matt Castle.
Oh, hey. God.
Hey, former Patriot, right?
Yeah, that is true. I mean, he had a long career. He's just,
and also he was a tight end at USC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He never played quarterback in college.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
Patriots pick is in.
Oh Lord!
I don't know. I think running back.
I really want him to get Lamar Jackson. I don't know why. I just want him to get Lamar Jackson.
They do have to start thinking about life after Tom Brady. I'm just not sure this is the situation to do that.
Not Tom Brady plays until he's 67.
2018 NFL Draft. The New England Patriots select Sony Michel.
Told you guys.
Wow.
Told you guys. Running back. They had an extra pick this round. You cannot
new breed. My bad.
You cannot let potential talent like that, and you need a running back right now. Just walk through your fingers, and you already got your offensive lineman. Yeah, running back or tight end. That's the way I would have gone. But they chose Sonny Michel over Darius Geis, Dan.
I don't care what you say.
Yeah, I mean, I think Geis is going to end up being the better pro, but Michel is a good back. I mean, I definitely like him a lot more than Nick Chubb out of the two Georgia backs. I had him comped to Kenyon Drake, who kind of broke out this year for the Dolphins. Not a lot of mileage on him, so you don't have to worry about that. Split time throughout his career. So I do like that. He's not the most agile runner, but he's decisive. I really like the pass protection part of his game. He's a 3-down back. You can let him play and protect Tom Brady in pass protection, and he's got some decent vision. So I like the pick. I think he can be very successful in New England. Just fantasy wise, you never know, because one week he can go 5 carries, the other week he can get 35.
I agree with the whole not used as much in college as say the other running back, because he was used sparingly, and that's less wear and tear. So that's a very good point. Yeah, I think that's probably why Belichick wanted him. I mean, he averaged 7 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Not bad for the Patriots first round.
Maybe get Lamar Jackson. The Eagles could think ahead and say we'll lose Nick Foles sometime during the season or next offseason, have Lamar Jackson as a backup.
This is where I had Lamar Jackson comped. As I said, some NFL team will trade up to pick number 32 and draft Lamar Jackson.
So the Eagles are shopping. I don't think they would want to pick someone here.
Oh, I don't think so.
So, Dan, do you want to revisit our mock draft? Who did the Patriots have by our own new breed, Sonny Michel? Who are the Philadelphia Eagles going to pick? Darius Geis. We can go home now.
Why would they pick Darius Geis? That doesn't make much sense.
It makes a lot of sense. The best running back left right now.
But they already have Jay Ajayi. He's probably going to be their number one.
They lost a back. Who did they lose, Dan?
Who did they lose? Oh, they lost.
They lost a back.
Blount, LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, they lost LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, you can't just have one running back in the NFL these days.
Well, they also drafted Donnell Pumphrey last year. Donnell Pumphrey.
I think Eagles trade out of this pick. I didn't see them keeping this.
I do. I see them selecting Darius Geis. They got Jay Ajayi, and then technically they have Corey Clement and Wendell Smallwood.
Ravens are on the clock.
Oh, Lamar Jackson.
They traded.
Told you.
There you go.
Told you.
Oh, hey, New Breed, what up there? Some team will trade 32 for Lamar Jackson.
Dan is coming back with a fury. I got Sonny Michel. Dan gets Lamar Jackson. I think you're 100% right now. I think you're 100% right.
If they don't go Lamar Jackson, they would probably go for maybe a running back.
Do they go Darius Geis?
Oh, maybe that could be.
They could go Darius Geis.
I think they have more of a need than Philadelphia, honestly.
Who's their starting running back right now at Baltimore? I don't know.
It's a very good question.
I mean, it's like a combination of Terrence West, Javorius Allen. You got a couple other guys there.
So pretty much the Cleveland Browns backfield in 2015.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
Rushing yards they end up getting?
Could be.
Alex Collins, actually. Alex Collins, Javorius Allen, then you got Kenneth Dixon and John Crockett.
And
Hey, those guys are in my barbershop quartet.
They probably should stay there.
John Crockett, former teammate of Carson Wentz, North Dakota State.
But the Ravens did also sign Robert Griffin III, so they got their Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brandon, you can sign off the draft show now. We appreciate your contribution.
Either way, neither guy is going to play over Joe Flacco this year. Maybe looking ahead, we'll see. Here they go.
The Philadelphia Eagles have traded the 32nd pick to the Baltimore Ravens. With the 32nd pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Dan got it. Dan freaking nailed it.
Yeah, that's
Huh?
What's with the green?
Some team. Dan couldn't tell us what team, but some team was trading into 32 for Lamar Jackson. I'll be damned.
And they're going to use him in every weird offensive set, wildcat, slash type of thing. Just watch.
I have a better idea. They're going to cut Joe Flacco at the end of this season and use Lamar Jackson if he turns up looking like a good guy, and cut that money off their salary cap and go sign some other players.
If they fall to 2-4 in the first 6 games, Lamar Jackson has taken over the keys to that car.
Absolutely. If you, I think even less than that. I think in the quarterback camp, if you see in training camp, he gets more reps in the preseason. I just don't see Joe Flacco surviving if he doesn't take the Ravens to the playoffs this year. I'm not saying he needs to win a Super Bowl, but he needs to damn sure get them at least into the playoffs.
They had flashes last year, but it just wasn't enough. They were hanging right there within playoff hopes. It finished 9-7, which was a full 6 games or 4 games behind Pittsburgh in that division, but they were second in that division at 9-7.
Yeah,
just behind Buffalo for a playoff berth.
That's not saying very much.
Yeah, but I mean, what was the weakness? Was it really Joe Flacco?
I think it was the running back, what we just mentioned earlier. I think Joe Flacco's a contribution to it, but not having a running back hurts you. You don't have a running game.
Well, especially when Woodhead got hurt. I think they were going to rely on Woodhead to be a big part of their offense last year, and he got hurt. He got hurt very early.
He's an injury. I don't know why they would rely on him. He's an injury-prone player.
I'm glad you made it home safely, DDT.
Oh yeah,
New York streets can be rough sometimes.
I got better knees than Kristaps Porzingis does right now.
So that is it. That is the first round, guys. I just made some notes. I'll go around to each one of you guys. No, 32. That's it. Unless there's an expansion team coming that I'm not aware of.
Somebody told me there was 33.
Did you see the Jaguars owner is going to buy – this is like how am I throwing a soccer thing in here? The Jaguars owner is trying to buy Wembley Stadium, which is the England national team park, and they're trying to put an NFL team there.
Okay.
So yeah, could be.
I do not want this. I do not. It's bad enough that Titans are playing a London game this year. I hate these freaking games. I would rather play a road game at a true road site than go to London to play a game. I don't like it. It throws a monkey wrench in the whole schedule.
It hurts the sport I love. It hurts the sport I love because we're losing the quality of the game in terms of who we partner with. I don't think the NFL and the English Premier League need to partner up at all. I think the NFL needs to sit down, shut up, and play their games at home, and maybe do that one Mexico City one, which is fine. And
I think we're having too many global aspirations here. The NBA is doing it too, and I don't like it. We don't need to expand these leagues overseas. Not that I have anything against it.
Real quick. The NBA. I'm sorry, basketball is a global game, though. It's like,
but not when your league is hosted in one particular country. You cannot be flying teams overseas and having half a day playing.
Going on in China right now. There's basketball games going on in Yugoslavia right now. Basketball's global. Like
no, not the sport. I'm saying, but our league is hosted in one country. I wouldn't expect the Chinese leagues to fly teams over here to play regular season games. Logistically, it doesn't make sense.
Let me try and clarify it, though. I think I understand what Brandon's saying, but let me add this point. When you're talking about just soccer, we're just sticking with soccer and football. Soccer is a more global sport than basketball. I think we can all agree upon that.
Way more.
And also, soccer teams have substantial more revenue and money than an average NFL football team. The Dallas Cowboys wish they were Manchester United. Manchester United has the ability to fly their players anywhere they want, depending on how well they do in competition. The Cowboys can only afford to do so much. I don't think that the transition in a partnership is strong enough for the NFL and English Premier League to prosper. Whereas when basketball introduced the ads on the jerseys, it's not even killing the brand at all. It's honestly enhancing it. People are like, I got this, I got that.
In the NFL, you only got 16 weeks. Players hate the Thursday night games as it is because it messes up their whole schedule. I definitely sure as hell don't want them taking a 12-hour flight overseas to play a game that's going to be starting at 7:30 in the morning America time.
How much do they get paid to play?
But it's still not fair. It's not fair to me as a fan. As a fan of the NFL, I'm not waking up at 7:30 in the morning to watch the Titans play this week.
Things are supposed to be fair.
Nothing's fair. It's not fair for a team to travel. It's certainly not fair for Samir Khan, owner of the Jaguars, to think that he can just go and buy Wembley Stadium.
But
I mean, Wembley
ultimately,
Stadium is
what
home to the England national team. He's trying to take the
ultimately
England national
what's
team
soccer team-
out of
the
business.
soccer
ultimately
player-
what's
sorry.
the end game for the NFL though? What's the benefit for this really? Do you really want to expand overseas?
To show that they're not as prejudiced as they look.
Money.
That's probably part of it. But you can
No,
make
that's
money.
the
You
only
can make
reason
money
they're
right here in
doing
the U.S.
But there's
Yeah.
not much money in revenue when you take a team over to London. I mean, listen, when you go to London and watch a game, the last game played at Wembley Stadium that I thought was meaningful was the Jets-Dolphins game when Brandon Marshall caught that opening touchdown from Ryan Fitzpatrick. The stadium was packed for that. But afterward, the NFL games afterward in London have not generated that much fanship through English supporters. No one in England cares about the NFL.
To me, it's just
a cheap
logistically
ticket.
insane.
Okay.
It's logistically
I
insane.
can't argue with any of this because I don't know any numbers. I don't know any facts about how they're maybe losing money or not making money. But I can tell you one thing that I know is for sure: they wouldn't keep going back to London if they weren't making money.
I don't think the elevated amount of revenue is that substantial though. I really
But
don't.
the thing is, though, I mean, think about the sponsorship losses they've had over the past couple of seasons.
I think it's a PR thing. To me, it's a PR thing.
Yeah,
It's
and
simply a
it
PR
also
thing.
could be just
PR. They've been going to
pick up
London for
pennies
10
where you
years.
can.
I know, and to be honest, they love it in England. Of course, they love it, but it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't.
It's
make
just
sense.
it was really like
okay.
it's a
Like I
cheap
said, I
ticket to get
can't
into Wembley
I
Stadium. You
know
don't
the
always
facts.
get to go to
I do
Wembley.
know that Russell Westbrook sucks.
We've established this. To be continued when the Thunder win the series. Okay, but let's wrap up the NFL draft. Enough of the tangent.
Okay.
To me, some of the picks, of course, Cleveland. I guess they did okay. As far as they think. I don't particularly like what they did.
If you throw the first pick out, maybe.
I think they Clevelanded up again. I was going into it thinking they were getting Sam Darnold and possibly Saquon Barkley. They got Baker Mayfield and Derwin James. I think they Clevelanded up. Buffalo, really love what they did. I think we all are consensus on this. Josh Allen and Tremaine Edmonds. Titans, I like what they did. Rashad Evans kind of fell into their lap. Love that.
Steal the draft.
Tremaine Edmonds learns how to play football. He's going to be great.
Seattle, I think they really effed it up. I do not like. It's nothing against Rashard Penny, the running back. I just don't think they needed a running back at all. They shouldn't even have been looking at a running back position. I think that was stupid. And then Pittsburgh followed them up and got Terrell Edmonds, which I never even heard of. Tremaine Edmonds' brother. So, Dan, let's hear from you. What were kind of your surprises, shocks, keynotes from the first round of the NFL draft?
Yeah, I mean, Baker Mayfield going number one, obviously. Denzel Ward going 4 was another shocker. Hayden Hurst going. I hated seeing him in mock drafts. He was the first tight end going. Good to see Lamar Jackson be that 32nd pick as I predicted. I'm expecting there's a ton of talent that I still thought was going to go in round 1. Just in the offensive line, Will Hernandez, I think he's still available. James Daniels, Orlando Brown Jr. So there's a lot of still some good offensive linemen, running backs, aplenty. Darius Geis never went.
Josh Jackson.
Yep, there's a lot of guys, a lot of wide receivers are still available. So it'll be interesting to see how the dominoes fall tomorrow. I'll definitely be watching and staying tuned on what exactly how it goes down.
I'm definitely going to watch tomorrow round 2 because my boy Anthony Miller is going to go. I'm about to take this shirt off and go bare-chested dance and get another shot of me because I like you. I know you like shots of me bare-chested, so you can add another avatar pick to your fantasy baseball team. But for sure, my boy Anthony Miller has to go second round tomorrow, so I'll be definitely looking forward to that, which I don't typically look forward to second round, but I'm very interested in that and to see what the Titans follow up and do. So let's hear from you, Bo. What was your final thoughts of the first round of the draft?
I thought it started out just typical Cleveland. Then it got normal. Quentin Nelson went, and Josh Allen, Roquan Smith, Mike McGlinchey, Daron Payne. And then it got weird again. Then we started seeing Seattle taking anyways, we were all there for that. I think tomorrow is going to be a little bit more exciting because there's so much talent in the second round this year. There's running backs, there's tight ends, there's cornerbacks and safeties. I mean, this might be a really good player taken in the 5th round. Just because there's just so many different there's so much talent out there this year. in the latter half of it, and that's what's exciting about this year's draft to me.
You definitely got some key talent pieces out there still left. Just on, well, I mean, one of them that I saw here, Harold Landry, a linebacker, yet to be chosen. Josh Jackson, Isaiah Oliver from Colorado wasn't called, was he, Dan?
No, he was not.
No, he wasn't.
So a lot of talent out there.
Running backs and cornerbacks. It's going to be the second round.
Yes, and tight end, like Bo said, Dallas Goedert still out there. Mike Gesicki, Penn State. So what did you think, DDT? I know you're pretty happy with the way your specific team went, but overall, Cleveland effed it up again, didn't they?
Well, I actually got to thank, and I can't believe I'm saying this, thank you, Cleveland, for picking Baker Mayfield, because I was in my office and all of a sudden my coworker jumped out of his chair and just started hugging me like we're either going to get Saquon Barkley or one of the top quarterbacks in the draft. And I'm just like, you know what? I think things are looking up. I'm still kind of miffed that they traded so many picks to get to third, but I also am confident that the free agency will help the Jets. In terms of the draft first round overall, this is the first time I've seen a draft with that many offensive linemen coming out of the mid rounds. I was kind of shocked to see centers being picked this early, and then to see so many duds in the late rounds, in the late of the round, when it usually gets easier to pick and choose, because you're pretty much at this point just plugging in your depth chart. But I think the second round will be very exciting because we're seeing teams that didn't get to pick, like Indianapolis, as much. We'll see them make some choices. I also think we'll see teams trading into the second round a lot more than you see them trading in the first round. And noticing also that the trades that were met during the first round included a lot of third pick selections instead of a lot of second round selections. So I think the second round is just as exciting as the first round. And I'm definitely tuning in because I want to see if even teams will trade out of the second round, because we see the talent depth just going so deep at a certain position.
Yep, a lot to look forward to in the second round from this NFL draft. And Dan, I'll be damned if you didn't call it. Some team is trading up to 32 to take Lamar Jackson. Wow.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, one of the few I got right. So
Did Papa Shaw call that one?
I don't know if he did or not, but
between Papa Shalk and the Dan Shalk tonight, I'm blown away. I need you guys to go with me to visit Bo in Vegas there.
I can get a couple rooms.
You could have won millions on that call in Vegas, Dan. Some team is trading up to 32 to take Lamar Jackson. You could have been a millionaire. You could have walked away from everything.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah, would have been 100 to 1.
People made money off the Baker Mayfield pick, I bet. Because I don't think anyone thought of Baker Mayfield.
Can't believe that happened.
I don't think the net pot was probably as high as Lamar Jackson getting traded in, or like that Pittsburgh pick. Whoever picked them,
that pick worked out for everybody.
Round, that definitely wants someone some money.
Still can't believe that happened.
Oh, where's Des Bryant going to get signed, Dan? Where do you think Des Bryant's going?
I'm gonna say Houston.
Go on 7th and Main.
I'm telling y'all, New England. That's why they didn't draft a wide receiver.
Go there. He does not want to end.
Okay, Green Bay. Then that's why they didn't draft a receiver.
Why would he go there?
Aaron Rodgers. What do you mean? Why would he go there? Aaron Rodgers.
He said he wants to play the Cowboys twice a year.
So I don't. Man, he needs to hang that up. Who gives a flip about playing the Cowboys twice a year? I want to play with Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady.
You don't want to play Tom Brady twice a year.
No, I want to. No, I said I want to play with Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, for one season, and I know I'm crazy saying this. I think Tom Brady might be calling it quits after this one if he doesn't win another Super Bowl.
You're exactly right for saying that.
I think he might walk away.
He is going to walk away. It's ridiculous thing he's going to play till he's 44. Come on,
and all because of a trainer. Like think about how petty some of the disagreements between a coach and a player are over a trainer.
Good night.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. Bo's calling it a good night. Thanks for joining us for the live draft show on YouTube. We'll post it on Facebook, so it'll be there for all you guys to watch. Enjoy the second round for My Fantasy Podcast. We are signing off. Appreciate you guys for joining us for the live draft show 2018. See you next time.